What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locks Before Locks show presented by Oddsshopper. I'm Eric Lindquist, excited to be talking this half hour, leading you guys into the deeper dive, leading you into Live Before Lock, all of the DFS content you're craving for, but this is going to be focused on the 5-game NBA slate for betting. I'm looking forward to it specifically, not just because I love the NBA streets, because I get to hang out with my buddy, Matt Savoca, at Draftaholic on the Twitters. You might know him from the NFL streets. He's also hanging out here in the NBA streets with us here over the last couple of weeks. Good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Doing great and happy to promote Oddsshopper, really the best place to play or to find places to play all of these bets. And it's fun digging into these 5-game slates because we can actually dig into our opinions a little bit more. Yesterday, going into an 11-game slate, you can barely breathe, but a little bit slower paced here. Some exciting matchups, some possible playoff matchups. And so that adds some extra excitement despite some teams headed in a not-so-playoff direction on the slate as well.
Yeah, Milwaukee and Brooklyn, confirmed, going to have some playoff kind of preview or implications or whatever have you. Little less so when you talk about teams like the Detroit Pistons that really have nothing to play for other than the future. So there's definitely some late-season elements to the NBA slate, but there's also some competitive games. I think that makes it pretty interesting. 11 gamers late in the season. Hopefully you guys succeeded on yesterday's slate. Felt pretty good about the way that things panned out. Ended up having a decent lineup breakthrough on FanDuel to kind of bail me out for the evening. But looking forward to this one. Hopefully you guys are too. Let's get right to it here. This is Oddsshopper. We're talking through not just Matt and I's personal bets, but some of the bets that really stand out on the best place you can go in 30 seconds or less to find bets on every single game on the NBA slate. It's very easy to navigate. We have NCAA bets, NHL bets, everything you could possibly ask for. We have the sports betting model at Awesemo. We have the Prize Picks NBA props tool at Awesemo. We have so many different devices to help you be a profitable bettor, whether or not you're playing props, whether or not you're playing totals, whether or not you're taking sides. I'm telling you right now, Oddsshopper has it all for you. We're going to talk through it. Let's just go to it. Philadelphia, -9.5 at Detroit, 225.5 total as it stands right now. And Joel Embiid and James Harden just need to keep taking care of business in these kind of cake puff matchups. I don't know what I was trying to say. That's not what I was trying to say. I just want Matt Savoca to talk to me about his favorite bets from this game.
Yeah, there's one bet in particular that I didn't really have much feeling about, but it is in that trust the math zone where the expected ROI is so high that I almost not that I don't care, but I almost don't even care that over time, these bets in this zone for our Oddsshopper bets are going to be good, and they're going to hit so often that I'm just going to go for it. Isaiah Stewart, under 0.5 3-pointers. You're not going to have it everywhere, but it's in a zone, a tier of its own, an expected win rate of 80%, and it's only at -125. So that's an implied probability of somewhere around a coin flip, 56%. An expected ROI north of 40%. Again, it's in that just go and trust the numbers situation. In the last month, he's hit a 3-pointer in exactly 18% of his games. Yeah, it's not the most glamorous bet. I have another one here just because that's not the one you're going to get rich on.
Before you go on to that other one, I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate because there's two things kind of at play. And I talked through this with Greg Ehrenberg the other night because he had found a tweet. And this is something that obviously the data clearly shows Isaiah Stewart over this circumstance is going to stand out as a play. But I'm just going to aggressively say on the other side, I might be looking at going over 0.5 threes here for Isaiah Stewart. Not that I have anything against this number here, but this is just fact of the matter. Jeremy Grant is now out for the season. He was a very prolific three-point shooter, decent enough. You have Marvin Bagley kind of being the strict replacement there. You're looking at a guy on the season who's only attempted 96 three-pointers in Marvin Bagley, shoots 24% from three. Absolutely abysmal. He does not hang out around the perimeter. And now Isaiah Stewart, there was a quote from Dwayne Casey where he talked about how he wants Isaiah Stewart to go out and shoot threes. That was before the Knicks game that quote came out. You've seen him go 2 for 3 the last 2 games here. Now, again, short sample size, 2 games, but it does seem, 3 is more 3-point attempts than he had since January 11th.
Yeah,
so I think that there's definitely, I think Isaiah Stewart's a guy that I might be looking, depending on if you're getting some serious plus money. If I click on him, and this is once again where you have to do a little bit of your own research and look at some of these things. But this is something Greg Ehrenberg had really pointed out the other day. And I want to emphasize it again. It's a completely different situation. And no doubt about it, the data just clearly shows that Isaiah Stewart, over a long sample size, this would be a phenomenal bet. But what's drastically changed is Jeremy Grant is out of that rotation. So if you're getting some major plus money on 0.5, sounds great. But now it looks to be around like just plus 100. It's minus 120 on the under of 0.5. I think I'm probably with you. I'd probably be shying away just from betting this in general at this point in time.
Yeah, and that's sort of why I added a second one here. I do really like Joel Embiid over 30.5 points. It's also fun to bet on an over for a superstar player, even at a line like this. He's been over the last month in 46% of his games, so nearly half. In 35 minutes of playing time in that same span, he's at 30.3 points per game. We got an expected win rate of 62%. Obviously, Detroit has been a little bit better in the defensive front, but they're not anywhere near league average, in my opinion, 17th in net rating over their last 10 games. And we got Embiid projected to play nearly 35 minutes and nearly 34 points here. So that's a fun one I'm going for as well. One thing I want to ask your opinion about, because in that game at the start of the NCAA tournament, that island game of Detroit and Orlando, Eitan Shander and I were talking about the only way that Cade Cunningham could win Rookie of the Year at this point is if Evan Mobley got injured and he started to go completely nuclear. He's at plus 1,200 right now.
You should
How
bet it.
good does he have to be to win Rookie of the Year right now? He can obviously do it. It's a long range, but
I think at 12-1, I think that there's a massive opportunity for it. Partially too, because Jeremy Grant is out. Like if Jeremy Grant were there, not that they hadn't been pretty in sync there for some periods of time. I mean, Cade Cunningham still had some decent performances, but this surely changes his outlook going forward. So Cade Cunningham being active, having an opportunity, if he drops like 35, 40 real points in a couple of these games coming down the stretch, like he did last time out, 34 real points, 48.75 fantasy points. If he has some games like that, I think it can change voters' minds, especially because as much as you don't want it to happen, a lot of voters wait how many games you play. It happens all the time in MLB. It's something that I'm looking at, not to preview the MLB streets, but I've got a number of bets that I've been targeting in the futures market. Toronto, I've been betting to win the AL East plus 180, simply because unvaccinated players won't be able to go to Canada. And Aaron Judge is one of those guys. A number of the guys from the AL East might not be able to travel over there. But in congruence, what I'm getting to is that I think that there's a number of opportunities to bet in the NL market, because Ronald Acuna is going to miss time. Fernando Tatis is going to miss time. So when guys miss time, voters just don't like it, because it's like, oh, how do I wait 162 games compared to 120? You're going to run into this same circumstance with Cade Cunningham playing almost an entire end of a season, as opposed to Evan Mobley, who isn't really going to be there for another week or two.
People are just going to forget. It's recency bias playing out in real time with the Rookie of the Year vote. Well, yeah, possibly.
No, I love it. And so I love that shout out by you. So it makes for a great discussion point. Something to always keep in mind, that it's not always saying, oh, I think this is going to happen. I don't think Cade Cunningham is going to win Rookie of the Year, but you give me 12-1 on him doing it, and I'm absolutely with you. He has a much better chance at getting it than that. So great shout out by you. Also a great shout out, Awesemo's MVP text program. Sign up 1-660-656-4417. Yes, I just read a number, but it's going to pop up on the chat here, because Jordan Klein behind the virtual glass, my friend Jordan Klein, doing a fantastic job. So beautiful today in his Tampa Bay race. I mean, we are just the bestest of friends. You guys
definitely weren't quarreling at all.
We weren't quarreling at all. No. He's my friend Jordan Klein, the best in the industry, named Jordan Klein. I don't know any others. So there's that. Text MVP text program. You can be automatically entered to win 1 year of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Check that out. You get your first chance to check out beta testings of new tools, features, anything else we have will be hit up in that text chain. Yes, OB96, Sea of Thieves, these nuts. How about that? Let's keep it going. Milwaukee +2 at Brooklyn, 243.5. This is a game I'm looking forward to watching. I think we're all looking forward to watching this one, but are we looking forward to betting it, Matt Savoca?
Yeah, I got 3 bets that kind of stick out to me.
Let's go.
As a fan, how can you not be excited for this? We got Giannis probable here. It would shock me if he doesn't play in this game and play his normal amount. I assume you feel the same way? Okay.
Confirmed, yes.
Okay, great. Now, we got a couple here that are really solid value. I don't feel super great about this, but Andre Drummond over 1.5 assists. It's our top ROI assist bet on the night, so that always piques my interest a little bit. You're getting plus money, plus 140. That implies a probability of this hitting at about 42%. Our expected win rate, it's at 61%. And XROI, again, over 45% is in that trust the math zone for me. He's been over this in just 20% of his games over the last month. So I get it. We're projecting a ton of minutes for him. We really have a decent stat line all around for Drummond. We know he gets it done on the glass, and even, double-digit scoring is never out of the question for him at all here. But I like this assist bet. Another one that I think is an easy money bet, over 5.5 rebounds for Bobby Portis.
Yes.
And I know it doesn't feel good. Giannis under 13.5 rebounds is too high of a line.
I'm very curious what Milwaukee's going to do. Brook Lopez played 28 minutes. It was very surprising to me. Is that going to be what they just do going forward? Bobby Portis is out of play at 6K on DraftKings today. No doubt about it. Only played 14 against Philadelphia. That's a true center situation. Could they bring out Bobby Portis and try to get Andre Drummond to be off the court? I don't really know. I don't think so. Brook Lopez looked pretty good. He's kind of the guy when healthy. 29 minutes, massive workload against Joel Embiid. He's out there for his defensive prowess, and they ended up winning that close game. Nicely done by Brook. But I'm with you. I think Bobby Portis might see the floor a little bit more than 14 minutes going forward. He's just too integral to what they do. I know what he was in the playoffs. He can be a guy who can play the four. I think him and Brook Lopez should be sharing the floor coming down the stretch at some point in time. Maybe that's not tonight with a smaller Brooklyn team aside from Andre Drummond. It's going to have to be somebody focused in on Kevin Durant. That's going to be Giannis. But looking at the Nets side, what I find fascinating is LaMarcus Aldridge is not seeing the floor. And when LaMarcus Aldridge is not seeing the floor and he's healthy and he's just basically NPC, coach's decision, just not playing, NPDC, I can't remember the initials, whatever. Andre Drummond, over 10.5 rebounds is such a smash. And shout out to our boy Laufey. He does the best effing bet of the day. Yes, that's what it's called, I believe. Is that what it's called, Jordan Klein? Yes, the best effing bet of the day. I was looking through Odd Chopper this morning, and Andre Drummond popped up for me, and somebody that I headed over to where I play my prize picks, and Andre Drummond 10.5. I played that across the board on almost all of my plays, and then I saw that it was Laufey's best effing bet of the day. He's also got a double-double play that's over plus 140 at a number of books. So if you want to just take the 10.5, it's minus 118. That's the best number that's available for it. But I think the double-double is almost incongruence with the rebound number. I'm not concerned that if he's playing 26, 28, even upwards of 30 minutes a night here for this Brooklyn team, that he's going to be a double-double machine. What say you on that play, Matt Savoca?
Absolutely. And I even alluded to it, saying that double-digit points is not out of the question. Yeah, I'm just looking at his game log here. 14, 20, 13, 15, 17. So he just needs to clean up on the glass enough to get there. He's actually been in double figures in every single game he's played since March 13th.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not pretty good. This iteration of the Cleveland Cavaliers, it's very sad knowing that we were watching Colin Sexton just ball out, Ricky Rubio ball out, Jared Allen ball out, and then Rookie of the Year favorite Evan Mobley balling out. All of them out here. It's pretty much Darius Garland season for Atlanta and the Cavs. That makes sad times. But Cleveland is a 6-point dog going into Atlanta. How the mighty have fallen. That's not fun. But any props that are fun for you in this game, Matt Savoca?
Yeah, one stuck out to me. I feel the same way about Cleveland. We do see this every year. One or two teams just simply cannot make it to springtime. And unfortunately, it seems like Cleveland is one of those squads this year. I'm going to look at the other side, though. I like Clint Capella under 12.5 rebounds. In the last month, he's averaged 11.5 points, 1.3 assists. Most importantly here, just under 11 rebounds per game in 26.5 minutes of play. That's essentially where we've got him as well in terms of minutes played. I don't really see anything here to knock me off of my base rate here against a Cleveland team who ranks just below average in defensive rating and net rating. An expected win rate, again, north of 2/3, 68%. An expected ROI of a quality 24%. Hey, it's not in the trust the math zone, but this is one of those that I just think the line is too high. And even if Atlanta cleans up in this game, I don't think Capella cleans up just as much as this.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of injury news to be waiting on here in this one. Bogdanovich, I think it sounds like he's going to be good to go here. He's listed questionable. he's been playing here. We're still waiting on Gallinari, who's questionable in this one. I think there might be some like have your finger on the trigger finger for Kevin Huerter type props kind of situation going, but they've seemed to have adjusted some of those lines a little bit more than what they sat at yesterday. I'm not super enthusiastic to get to much of anything in this game, especially I'm worried about expected win percentage more than I am just about any other feature, just because for me, Prize Picks, looking at the way that that's facilitated, I just want plays that win. I think Trae Young over on points might be one that I've been playing quite a bit. It's been pretty successful here. You get Bogdanovich off. He's been attempting massive amount of shot attempts, tons of usage coming off the bench. You get Gallinari off the floor. Everybody that you're substituting in their place, whether it's Luwawu-Cabarrot, who's been in the starting unit a couple times, Delon Wright, these are low usage guys compared to the two guys that they're basically facilitating. So I might be waiting to fire up some Trae Young, but that is only if I get both of those guys out. Does that sound about appropriate to you?
That makes a lot of sense to me. What's his line, 29.5 right now in points?
Yeah. Yep. 30 and a half in a number of spots, but it was 29 and a half this morning when I bet it.
Yeah, I dig that. I like that line, obviously, that 29 and a half line especially, but just especially this time of year, I think we just see Trae take over games, especially late, if it's even remotely close.
Malaker, Eric, you okay? I'm fantastic. I'm especially fantastic because I get to see my friend Jordan Klein smiling, happy, looking lovely. Everything is perfect for Jordan Klein. Everybody smash that like button. I haven't even hit the like button yet. There we are. I hit the like button for my friend Jordan Klein. I think you should too. That would be lovely. He's not embarrassed at all by me saying that he's my best friend and that I miss him. I hope he's doing well over there on the west side. But Matt's like, what are you guys talking about? I have no idea.
There's some sort of insider information I missed out on, but I hope you guys are all right.
Yeah, this is definitely. If this were insider trading, this is problematic. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
It's the same thing. They're both problematic. Don't do those things. Let's keep it moving, shall we? Because this game I'm excited for. Clippers at Chicago. The Clippers are 2.5 point dogs, which makes no damn sense to me. I don't understand. I get it. You have Vooch, you have Levine, you have DeRozan, you have all these guys from the Bulls. Whoop-de-frickin-do, Basil. What does it all mean? Well, it means that I like the Clippers because Paul George returns. And Paul George is the best player playing in this game. Don't at me. It's not even remotely close. Paul George, when healthy, is a massive monster. He played 31 minutes right out of the gate. Now, it could have just been, it was a competitive game. The Clippers are pretty locked into where they are in the West, but I just like this team more than I like Chicago. How about that for hashtag analysis? I don't understand. Looking at our NBA betting model, it's pretty flat, but yet, if I'm getting 2.5 points for what I believe to be the better team, especially with Hartenstein playing 26, 28 minutes a night, the best player on the Clippers in the absence of Paul George this season, I'm going to take the points. How about you, Matt Savoca?
So what you're saying is that Paul George is the shark with freaking laser beams on his head? That's
attached
who he is?
To their heads. Now, my psychiatric colleague over here says that can't be done.
Yeah, hey, we only have a few minutes before every show to talk ball, talk shop, see where we're feeling about the NBA, and who did we spend our time talking about? Paul George. It was impressive. The comeback win was obviously cool to watch, and it just changes the dynamic of this team entirely. I know Chicago is a quality team. I know they're fairly healthy going into this one. I do have a prop bet on the Chicago side I like, but I really dig the quote-unquote logic here that Paul George makes this Clippers team significantly more dangerous. The Awesemo sports betting model has a 54% chance that Chicago wins this one. That means it's basically a coin flip, guys. 45-54 essentially is what we got right now. I saw some other models out there that have this much more disparate 64% win probability. I think that is entirely incorrect. I think the Clippers have a great chance here. If I'm looking at one prop bet, Caruso over on steals has been one we've been looking a lot, but I actually like over 3.5 assists. It's the fourth highest expected ROI assist bet on the board. Again, his playing time continues to ramp up here. In the last month, he's at 29 minutes per game, 3.7 assists, so it feels razor thin. But our minutes projections on Awesemo.com continue to ramp up, nearly 31 minutes as a median projection here, which is helping it boost the median projection for assists up over 4 here. A really solid expected ROI and win rate on that one as well.
What the F? Jordan Klein is a wizard. Lots of things to catch up on. There's lots of things. Christopher Mabry. He's saying I'm illiterate. Why am I reading the word illiterate if I'm illiterate? That would mean I couldn't read. And then I have a high-pitched voice. I could have a low-pitched voice. Would you prefer I had a lower timbre in my voice? I don't know. What do you want from me?
Just be
giving me a lot of attention. Oh, I will
Find
be me because
voice.
Jermaine Sharp likes it. Jermaine Sharp. Love you guys. Keep up the great content all the way from Sydney, Australia. Hey, good day, mate. No? Okay. We like you too. Just saying. And then Ben Anthony gave us money to tell us nice things. That's the best way to get it. $1.99 to be told two legends, one show. It's better than two girls, one cup. Not going to lie. Looking good. Attaboy, Eric. Attaboy. Yeah. Two legends, one show.
Me.
Two legends, one show. It's math. That's how it works. Eric Lopoich, yes, so dreamy. Ayo. And Ryan Houston, the thickest of boys. That's me. It me, baby. Let's get to this last game, shall we? Oh, first, I have to do this. If you haven't checked out premium betting subscription yet, now's the time. Check out the smartest three guys. We have three guys specifically. What I do? What?
Yeah, I mean, just chat is going bananas.
Eric is wild, and I'm doing great. I'm
polar
happy.
opinions about the low voice. I think you're doing great. You're doing great.
Eric has a dark side. Eric, what you know about Two Girls, One Cup? I know I don't want to watch it ever again. Friends in college, they're bad. My friends were bad, but here we are. I'm just going to start doing this again. Premium betting subscription. That's what happened. That's where I left off. Betting picks in Discord. If you want free betting, well, not free. If you want to get the subscription for the betting picks, we have Alex Baker, Ben Raza, my buddy from the PGA streets, and Steve DeColt's Buzzard. They are the three smartest dudes in the industry when it comes to projection models, when it comes to targeting the bets you need to have in NBA, NHL, college basketball. If there is something where there's an advantage to be had by betting, they will have everything set up for you in that premium Discord. Bet picks, you can set them up with an SMS alert. That'll be coming very, very soon here. So you want to be getting these bets now. Head over to the premium Discord. Sign up for that today. Promise it will be worth its while. Plus, at Awesemo Bets on Twitter, that is the handle. Turn on notifications. You'll get a free bet every single day right around the NBA lock time. So you get done with your DFS, you'll get a premium bet sent to you for free to be able to kind of take advantage of from that package. Promise it'll be worth it. So check that handle out here as well. Last game of the night. I'm going to do my low voice. Lakers.
Oh, no.
They're fucking terrible. Plus 13.5 at Utah. 227 here in this one. Matt Savoca, how are we doing? Where are we looking at for this one?
Yeah, the Lakers right now sitting at that 10 seed, really just clinging to life here. But apparently reinforcements are on the way. We got word, Woj mini bombs here that both AD and LeBron could play tomorrow. We're focused on tonight, however. And right now, with the way that this lineup looks, you got to look at some Westbrook overs. I know he's been so up and down all year, a lot of down, a lot less up. But Westbrook over 1.5 3-pointers. This is kind of funny. He's hit the over in this prop line exactly 36% of the time over the last month. Westbrook over 6.5 assists. He's hit the over in exactly 36% of his games over the last month. Westbrook over 20.5 points. He's hit the over in exactly 36% of his games. Basically, 1/3 of the time, Westbrook slams these overs, and we have a reason to move off our baseline here that this is the type of matchup that he will do it. All of these have expected win rates of 50% of over or over. All have expected ROIs of 12 to 25%. If you want to make a single game parlay with all three of these, I wouldn't blame you. Certainly not going to take these types of bets tomorrow, and Utah isn't the easiest matchup in the world. I think Utah crushes, as the spread implies, but I think Westbrook overs make a whole lot of sense here.
I did not advocate for going to that website. I'm just going to throw it out there. That's not what I said to go do, is go to that. I wanted you to listen to Matt Savoca. I hope you heard all of his great analysis. I hate how much I like Russell Westbrook tonight on a 5-game slate. I just can't stand it. I know I'm going to be invested in terms of in terms of DFS, in terms of props, 20.5 points. I'm taking the over. 59% expected win percentage, 14% expected ROI. If you're looking at the book, play it at that book that's listed on Odd Chopper. Really hard to get away from that one. Also, this is a disturbing ad, but the Lakers, I do not expect them to win this game, but there is a 14% expected ROI. If you want to dabble a little something, and I'm talking like a quarter of a unit, like nothing on the money line of the Lakers here, 14% in the NBA betting model that we have going. It makes sense. 747. I mean, Utah's minus 1,000. Do I really expect this to happen? No, but a profitable bet over a long period of time is what you're aiming for. And that's a profitable bet over a long period of time. So have to at least give it a shout out there. That is it. That is the NBA locks before lock, unless there's anything else you had from this game, Matt Savoca.
No, that wraps it up. That is you got some chutzpah with that bet.
Yeah, some chutzpah. What does that mean? I like it. That's
some
my favorite word.
Some balls.
Oh, good thing I can pronounce it because I'm illiterate. I wouldn't be able to read it. So guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you all hanging in. Thank you, Jordan Klein, my friend, hanging out, doing great work behind the scenes. He's going to stick around for the next, 2.5 hours? Yeah, put in that work, Devin. Don't give up. We're going to get out of here. That's Matt Savoca at Draftaholic. Go follow him on Twitter. I'm Eric Lindquist. Come follow me at Eric Lindquist. Best of luck. We'll see you guys later.
his takeout order that he schedules like 1 minute before the show starts. Hello. Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA Deeper Dive presented by OddsShopper. I'm Dave Loughran on Twitter at Lafay_D, joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. And it sounded like an eventful Locks Before Locks show, Adam. Anytime you end with talk of two girls, one cup, you know things went down.
It makes me feel pretty comfortable that no matter what happens on this show, we're going to be more on topic than the previous show.
Right. Yeah, and less cancelable.
Right.
Did you ever see it?
No, other people saw it, and I found out what it was about and had no reason to watch it.
I guarantee Jordan Klein has seen it. No? Okay.
He looks like he doesn't want to answer.
Yeah, I don't know.
I plead the fifth.
Just some foul, disgusting shit out there. Anyway, happy to have you guys with us. We got 5 games to talk about today. Unreliable. Don't worry, I'm done, man. We got 5 games to talk about today, and we'll get into all of them. Some fun ones, too. Some fun ones. We got Milwaukee and Brooklyn, 243.5 total. And then Paul George. This is the first of a back-to-back. Not really sure what we get out of this, but we'll see. Anyway, it should be fun. Yeah, Shane Alexander said, Josh, with the Clippers pick earlier, I have to agree. On the strategy show, Josh asked a question. He said, if every team in the league was healthy, who would you pick to win the finals? And he went with the LA Clippers. Some people forget that Kawhi's still on that team.
Yeah.
I still went with the Suns. I think they're that good, but
I think I'd still go with probably Milwaukee, but
Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean the Clippers I think are really, really good when they're fully healthy.
Yeah, and I think they're 23-1 right now. But I mean, Kawhi's status is still completely up in the air, so that is a big one. But anyway, hit that thumbs up. What are we? 142. I mean, come on. You got almost 900 people watching here. Do your service. Get us to 200. Hit that thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button. Yo, we just hit 75,000 subs as well. Appreciate you guys. Great stuff.
Oh yeah, Brooklyn at 100% too is certainly in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean they are at 100% for the most part, right?
They're missing one pretty big piece.
Yeah. I guess you're talking about Harris.
Yeah, I'm talking about Harris.
All right.
Although he does matter also.
He does actually matter quite a bit. But so we have a weird one today because value on these slates are usually quite odd. And for what it's worth, I will not at all refer to Ben Simmons as a pretty big piece in the playoffs. He's a pretty big never mind. I don't want to be insulting. But Josh did say he was like, he finally admitted, I have no idea what Ben Simmons is in the postseason. And I don't think anybody does.
A really good defender.
Yeah. And a really big liability late in games.
Maybe. I think more so for the Sixers than he would be for the Nets.
Why?
Because the Sixers didn't have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Just keep hacking him.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by liability, not even the not shooting, just 7% free throw shooting.
Sure.
Anyway.
Jason Finn's really looking forward to more sweet and sour discussions.
What is this?
Jason Finn said he's really looking forward to more fast food talk and sweet and sour sauce.
We've played that out, man.
He was getting mad about it yesterday.
About what? About the fact that I like sweet and sour sauce on an Egg McMuffin?
No, about the fact that we were talking about fast food for like 20 minutes.
Oh, well, in that case, what's your favorite fast food place when you're hungover?
The same as when I'm sober, Taco Bell.
Okay. Ben Anthony, thanks for the super chat. 2 legends, 1 shot. Oh, you're coming back with the same thing. Leave it to Eric to turn it into something so messed up. Looking good, fellas. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. All right. And 242 likes. Appreciate you guys. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Join now, too. If you want to join, get the custom emojis, free super chats, all that fun stuff. What else? Oh, the badges. Got people iced up. Malicor's got the 12-month badge, making things happen. You get a badge for 1 month, too. But anyway, let's go into some of these games. First question, as always, what type of builds are we looking at? I'm not saying it's like a cookie cutter response, clear cut, but can we go confidently with some stars and scrubs? How does the mid-range look today? What are we looking at?
I mean, right now, this slate's pretty different than we've had recently. There's not a ton of really good value. There's certainly guys to pay up for with the Brooklyn guys, with Giannis, with Embiid, with Harden, but Trae Young, but not nearly as much value as we've had recently. So obviously that could change, but it does make it, I think, a little bit more difficult just to build lineups that you're really going to like. And it does kind of open up the mid-range a little bit more, because when you, for example, like you have, Chris Middleton was somebody I used as an example on my tournament videos earlier. On a lot of the slates we had recently, like the way Middleton looks today, it would kind of just be like, yeah, well, I'm just not going to get there because there's 50 really good 4K guys and a bunch of guys to pay up for. Today, guys in that range, whether it's Drew or Middleton or, Mitchell or Conley, like guys like that, they're just, I think, could be a little bit more important, at least the way the slate looks right now.
Jordan Klein with the free super chat. Oh, you're iced up. All right. All right. Hope you find your DK beanie, Adam. As if he couldn't have said that before the show. Oh, yeah. Okay. Last thing I'll hit on, because Josh, and you were a topic of conversation today. All of us were wondering, and I'm sure chat can appreciate this. They know your personality. What are your interactions? So you're going to your best friend's kid's birthday party on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So when you see him, like, do you come up and say like, "Hey, happy birthday, big man," or do you just go, "Sup"?
I was
like,
actually
what?
Thinking about that earlier. Like, can I just walk in and ignore the kid and say what's up to my friends?
I knew it. I knew it. Okay, so I wasn't wrong at all. How old is he? Or she?
Two, and I've never met him before either. So
okay, so I mean, what do you think? You walk up, your boy's there. What's your buddy's name?
Kenny.
All right, and I'm sure you don't know the kid's name, so I won't ask.
Declan.
What's that?
Declan.
Okay, Declan. So you come up, Declan's sitting there like on his lap. They're hanging out. He's drinking a beer. Do you just come up and shake his hand, or do you acknowledge Declan and his her second birthday?
His.
That's a girl's
probably
name, right?
say like, "What's up? Happy birthday," and then end that conversation as quickly as I can and start talking to my friends.
Now, what do you provide? Are you just going? Did our stream die, or is that on my end? No, we're good. It's maybe it's on my end. We got some storms around this way. So, do you just like pull money out of your wallet, or how are you going to? Are you going to get a card?
No, I'm not getting a card. I'm hoping I remember to grab money.
Okay.
The last time, so I like I said, I haven't been. If I've met this kid, it was only in passing. But the older brother. So the last birthday I went to, I just didn't have cash on me, so I just ended up getting into the trying to Venmo my friend, and him refusing to let me Venmo him and just sending it back to me.
Hey, Declan, do you have PayPal? All right. It's just a funny thing to think about, because I can imagine the interaction would be well worth being a fly on the wall for.
Yeah. Somebody said I have severe social anxiety. No, I just don't know how to interact with kids.
Right. Oh, dude, I had a very tough time with that for a long time, until all my brother and sister-in-law started having kids, and then I did. It's weird. It's an awkward fit.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it.
Especially a 2-year-old girl. What are you going to say?
It's a boy, but
I thought Declan was a girl's name.
No.
No. But there are girls. Jordan's laughing. No, there are. I guarantee
it could be either, but
that's a what do they call it? Interchangeable name or whatever, a gender neutral name, something like that.
Amphibious.
I don't. Yeah, it's an ambidextrous name.
Yeah.
All right. Now, someone find me a Declan that's a girl out there. I guarantee there are. Whatever. All right. You want unisex? Thank you. That's what I meant. It's gotta be. No, not intersex. All right. See, we're out of control already. But hey, can't beat 2 girls, 1 cup, right? So we're smooth sailing. Philadelphia and the Detroit Pistons. Let's get into it. Larry, I don't do that well. Let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers.
Do what well? Listen to what I'm saying.
What?
Do what well? Listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm saying just in terms of like attention span and being able to juggle a couple things at once.
Yeah, specifically asking me a question, I answer it, and you still get it wrong.
That is impressive. Like asking you, and then
like you remembered the name, but you couldn't remember the answer to, is it a boy or girl?
All right. But well, I think it's because I thought Declan was, a girl's name. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, let's do this. And maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe it's only him. I'm sure I'll find somebody given this day and age. I'll find someone if I need to. But let's talk about the Sixers up top. James Harden, Joel Embiid. Embiid's priced up there at 11.5, but at the same time, like you have Giannis in a 243.5 total game. Of course, Durant and Irving right now, it's so tough to predict which one of them is going to do, big numbers, especially given that their prices have all come up. But on a 5-game slate, you have, not including LeBron, who's out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 7 players who are 10K and up on DraftKings.
Yeah, a lot of guys to pay up for. Kind of difficult to get there, but from the Philly side, I think Embiid looks great. Like he should destroy. He should destroy Detroit's front court for whatever minutes he's on the floor. 10-point spread, so it's not like it's a foregone conclusion that it blows out, but it's certainly possible. But he should be really, really good. He's averaged 1.65 DraftKings points per minute in the games that he's played with Harden this year. And then Harden himself, about 1.35 DraftKings points per minute in the games that he's played with Embiid. He's likely to give you around 38 minutes or so at 10-2. I think both of those guys look really good. Beyond them, as usual, not much stands out. If you get to a little bit of Harris or Maxey, given that it's a 5-game slate and that they're both likely to play a nice chunk of minutes, that's fine. But I think it's pretty clearly Embiid 1, Harden 2, and then a huge drop-off.
Okay. And by the way, in 2021, there were 5,263 girls named Declan. Named like that year, born that year, over 5,000. But it's Declan with a Y.
Okay, well, this is with an A.
Right. But I wasn't privy to that information.
If I had spelled it for you, I'm sure you would have remembered.
I still would have thought it was a girl's name. Do you want to get to Tobias or Maxey or Thibault or any of these like secondary or even like tertiary options down here at the bottom?
No, not really. I mean, Harris and Maxey I think are okay, but certainly not guys that I'm excited to get to. It's more so just like, all right, well, they fit in this lineup. Let's hope for the best. But after that, I don't really see any way I'm getting to anyone else.
Okay. Detroit is obviously without Jeremy Grant for the remainder of the year. This team's actually played competitive. I say it all the time, but they've kept games close. Even yesterday, or what was it, 2 days ago against Brooklyn? I keep forgetting. The big thing here, though, is if you're looking at Jeremy Grant being out, you're also looking at someone in, say, Marvin Bagley, where I think we can start with Adam. How much stock are you putting into the fact that he literally down the middle split with Braxton Key last game and got nowhere close to the playing time he was seeing in 2 games prior to that?
I'm not putting too much stock into it. It is certainly somewhat concerning. You're also getting Isaiah Livers back today. And so I don't know if Braxton Key is even in the rotation, but he could be. And then like if you add Livers to the rotation, then things can really get messy. So it's definitely a situation where, you talk about a team like the Pistons. It shouldn't surprise you if their rotations just get out of whack because it doesn't matter. But for now, I'm assuming that you're getting back to like 28 to 30 minutes for Bagley. I'm assuming that I'm actually kind of assuming Key doesn't play and Livers does, but one way or the other, one of those guys plays and one doesn't, plays like 18 minutes. So I'm expecting Bagley to get the minutes, but again, it wouldn't be surprising if he doesn't.
How many minutes are you projecting Bagley for right now?
I have him at 30, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. What about Killian Hayes? And also Kelly Olynyk? This just kind of gives you an idea of what type of value you're dealing with. This guy is playing, 16, 18 minutes tops every day, and he's still projected for considerable ownership today, around 17%. That's not crazy for an abbreviated slate, but it's still a decent amount. He's a good per minute guy. And then Killian Hayes played really big minutes off the bench last game. I think the biggest thing we have to pay attention to here is, are we going to have Corey Joseph in or not?
Yeah, the Corey Joseph piece matters because like Hayes is okay as a value, I guess, if Joseph is in, but it's one of those, it's more just that there's not a lot of value on this slate and he can still get you 30 minutes. But if Joseph's out, those minutes become a lot more secure because Hayes is typically playing whatever minutes Joseph isn't out there for the most part. And then if Joseph is out too, you're probably opening up some minutes for like Frank Jackson. I would assume that you get both of Key and Livers in the rotation then as well. But I think the biggest impact with Joseph would be on Killian Hayes. And then as far as Olynyk goes, I do understand why he's getting some ownership, especially because he has power forward eligibility. He's only 3,500 on DraftKings. That being said, we've seen the Pistons basically just not play this guy more than 16 to 18 minutes in most games, even when they've had opportunities to do so. So I'm still somewhat concerned about going there.
Who's your favorite play then right now for Detroit? Like, is it still Bagley?
I plead the fifth. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
As far as who gets into my lineups the most, probably Olynyk, just because he's so cheap. But I still don't feel remotely good about it.
Are there any players that are getting ownership for Detroit that you don't want to play, or any guys that aren't getting ownership that you do want to play?
The amount of ownership Detroit's getting seems absurd to me. Like Cunningham at 18. I mean, I guess because it's a 5-game slate, but Cunningham at 18%, Bay at 20, Bagley at 15, Stewart at 15. I don't know. I mean, they don't look terrible to me, but I'm also not really that excited to get there.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And I mean, at Cade's price, he's nothing more than just a guy that he's not unplayable, but he's not special. Sadiq Bey, his price is what, 7K right now in a tough spot against Philadelphia. He's at 4%. I don't know. I guess, is there any tournament value there?
I was looking at FanDuel. That makes a lot more sense now. Okay.
Yeah. Well, isn't FanDuel's pricing, I thought, on Detroit is super low on some of these guys.
Yeah. So that's why I was really confused because I thought I had the DraftKings ownership open, but I had FanDuel and I was just seeing like what I thought was $8,800 Cunningham at 18% and 7K Bay at 20. $5,700 Bay at 20% makes sense to me.
Yeah,
so does $8,200 Cunningham. So the FanDuel ownership makes sense. On DraftKings,
like Bay's less than 4% right now on DraftKings. Is why.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes okay. I agree with that. Like Bay certainly still has a ceiling, but I'm not really going out of my way to get to him at 7K. You have Cunningham at 10%. Still teens on Hayes, Stewart, Bagley, Olynyk. Those all look fine, I guess. But overall, I think Detroit just looks really unappealing.
Milwaukee, a little bit more appealing here. Giannis is just, whenever you get him in a spot, Josh and I were talking about this at length this morning, so I won't belabor the point, but whenever, and you mention this often too, it's just obvious at this rate, but whenever you get Giannis in a spot where you feel confident that it's going to be a competitive game and he could play upwards of like 38, but you're projecting him for 35 or so, and he's, arguably the best fantasy producer in the league alongside, Nikola Jokic at this point, it's just so hard not to like that.
Yeah, I really like this game in general, but I think Giannis looks great because, like you were saying, even though Giannis, certainly isn't cheap, he's less expensive than he would be if he just was always in competitive games because Milwaukee is so much better than most teams that they play. You get a lot of games that, just pull down Giannis's average playing time. This game has a 2-point spread. It's got a massive total in the 240s. I think that you can give Giannis an extra minute or two in terms of projection on average. Even if you give him 35, he certainly can exceed that. So it's not like you're just projecting his ceiling, and it makes him look really, really good at 11-8. Similarly, Chris Middleton, who's averaging about 33 minutes per game in the games that he's played with Holiday and Giannis, I think you can reasonably project for around 35 minutes here. I think you can give Holiday around 37, and it just makes Holiday and Middleton look decent at their salaries. They don't necessarily stand out, but on a slate like tonight where there's not a ton of cheap value, they do become a little bit more appealing in the mid-range. Brook Lopez at 3,900, I think, is a decent value option, likely to get 28 to 30 minutes here, and he's pretty cheap. So I like all four non-Wes Matthews starters for Milwaukee. Giannis obviously looks the best, but he's also the most expensive.
Yeah, I think Brook Lopez is actually a pretty solid play here, just given that last game we saw him play 29 minutes in the starting lineup against Joel Embiid. Of course, slightly a different matchup here, but at the same time, good enough three-point shooter, good enough shot blocker. Not really great in any other area, but he's 3,900. I was actually, Adam, what's he at now? What do we have his own? It came up to 11%, but honestly, just kind of given the dearth of value on this slate and guys like Olynyk on DraftKings pulling 18%. I know that Olynyk has power forward eligibility and that makes a difference, but I was still surprised to see Brook Lopez at only 10, 11%, just given the playing time.
Yeah, same here. Because it's not like Lopez isn't a necessary part of this team either. Like, he makes a big impact for them defensively. So you would think that they're going to want him out there. I mean, down the stretch, maybe Giannis closes at the 5, but that's not even a guarantee. So I'm with you. Like, I think you're getting 28 to 30 minutes from Lopez, and I think he's just underpriced on a slate that has very little value. And on top of that, it's not like it's a great center slate either. There's obviously still some good centers, but it's not quite as there's not quite as high an opportunity cost tonight at the position, I don't think, as there normally is either.
Right. It does feel that way. If you were to wrap up Milwaukee, is there anything else? Like you said, I mean, I think you just hit it spot on. There really isn't. It's like the four starters in Giannis, Middleton, Lopez, and Holiday. And then everybody else is it's not even like, oh, sprinkle them in. Most of these guys are just unplayable. Portis played 13 minutes last game.
Like, if you had to, for some reason, if like you're being forced to roster a different buck, like, you can make some sort of obscure case for like Portis if Lopez gets in foul trouble, or Allen or Connaughton, I guess, if they get hot. But realistically, I don't anticipate getting to anything other than the four guys we talked about.
Yeah. What about on Brooklyn, where you have, this is an interesting situation, and it's kind of tough to figure out, but I obviously we have to project it as if he's not going to play, but there's this like looming concern of mine that LaMarcus Aldridge just miraculously makes it back into the rotation tonight and plays 24 minutes.
Yeah, I'm there with you. When I was doing the minutes projections for Brooklyn, I was just like still not really comfortable with what to do. But for now, anyone wondering, he has been technically active the last 2 days. He just hasn't played. Right. So, I mean, my assumption for now is that you're just still going to get Drummond and Claxton. One thing that I do kind of question is, does Drummond actually close this game, assuming it's competitive? We've seen, for a while, Drummond wasn't closing games for Brooklyn. The last couple of games he has against Charlotte and against against Detroit, I think that there's a really good chance that Kevin Durant's the closing center tonight, and that you get a closing lineup where it's Irving, Curry, Dragic, one of Dragic, Mills, Brown, and Durant. So I'm not quite as bullish on Andre Drummond's minutes recently. Like, he had played 30 plus and then he played 28. I gave him 26 here. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even a little bit lower. But if he does even get, 24 to 26 minutes, he still looks decent at 6K, just given the rebounding upside that he offers. But I also think that for the main pieces here, I'm really interested in them because of the playing time. You have Durant only projected for 12% ownership. I get it, because he's like only $100, I think, less expensive than Embiid on DraftKings. But if this game's competitive, I think you're probably getting 40 minutes from Kevin Durant. He's averaged about 1.4 DraftKings points per minute in the games he's played without Harden and with Kyrie this year. His rates are a little bit better in those games if you go back to last year also. So it's not like there's not a huge ceiling for Durant. And similarly, there's a really high ceiling for Irving. So both guys are in a situation where I think that there are pay-up options that look better, whether it's Giannis, Embiid, Harden, depending which guy you're talking about. But that's also reflected in the ownership. So I do like Durant and Kyrie in tournaments quite a bit.
So for what it's worth, Drummond has played a game as a member of the Nets against Milwaukee about a month ago. And it was a competitive game. 126, 123, high scoring game. He closed and played 30 minutes, and LaMarcus Aldridge was active and played that game as well, played 19 minutes. So
Was Durant in?
Oh, you know what? Irving was in. You're right. I'm sorry. Durant was out for that one. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So you think that could be the difference maker right there?
Yeah, that's the concern I have is like if this game gets played like it would in the postseason, Andre Drummond is not on the floor at the end of the game.
No, I agree with that for sure. But I still think you can project him for, I mean, I think we have him at like 20, almost 27 minutes today.
Yeah, I went 26. I went 26 because I wouldn't be shocked if he just doesn't step on the floor in the fourth quarter and you get like 22. But at the same time, I can't just say there's 100% chance that he's not closing after what we've seen the last few games. So there is still that 30-minute game in the range of outcomes. So I kind of just have it down the middle. But
and he's playing really well.
Yeah. It's just I don't have that much confidence that he closes tonight, but still certainly possible. Like he's been closing recently. He's been playing well. So I'm just like if this were a different matchup, a game that, just wasn't very, this game's just so easy to like see how it ends up coming down to Giannis and Durant playing the five basically. If this were a different matchup, I'd probably have like 28 minutes on Drummond. So, but even at 26, he looks pretty good.
I included this in the Odd Shopper or the best bets video props over on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel today. And I was talking, it was one that I had pulled from Odd Shopper as well. We have Drummond that projected at 12.1 rebounds, one of the best expected ROI bets on the day. Over 10.5 is the prop right now. He's been crushing lately, right? Just absolutely crushing. Over his last 10, he's averaging a double-double over his last 10, and he's gone north of 10 rebounds in I think 6 of those 9 games. And like Adam pointed out, he's playing big minutes. Now, if the closing is a big concern to you, then, but we've got him projected even at 26.5 minutes and still have him sitting nicely above that prop. Expected win rate is 66%. And we put the projection right on there for you. Odd Shopper's free. Would love to have you guys check it out. I think you'll really like it. You can sort by any stat, any team. You can look at futures, props, lines, totals, sides, whatever. You can just type a guy's name in and pull him up and get every one of his props and get the projections, the X win rate, the expected ROI. And the biggest thing, like the reason we created this is because now you don't have to shop around. You don't have to go to Bet Rivers and then FanDuel and then DraftKings and PointsBet, none of that. We just give you on every single player prop there is for the day. We give you where the best line is and where the best bet is. So you just click it and we shoot you over there and you're in. So you can shop for the best bets without actually having to put in any work at all. And it's free. Oh, and we have the arbitrage feature and the parlay builder where we build you out the best parlays without you having to do anything either. I know our boy, Dave DeRemmer's had some success using those features lately too, just crushing the parlays. All right. Anything else for Brooklyn or Milwaukee? This is obviously the featured game of the night.
I think it was Josh Gillen mentioned that Brown hadn't closed the last couple of games. And yeah, exactly. My assumption is that Brown closes this one and Drummond doesn't. But again, that could obviously be wrong. It doesn't matter too much for me. Like, unless Brown plays a lot more minutes, I don't think I'm getting to him at 5,600. Drummond at 6K, even if I give him 26, I'm going to get some. And then Durant and Irving, again, I really like in tournaments. Outside of that, I don't see much. I mean, Curry disappears when everybody's in. He has about a 16.5% usage rate with Durant and Kyrie. Dragic has a 14.5% usage rate. Mills is at 12%. So I'm pretty much sticking with those 3 guys.
All right, let's hit on a couple super chats here. Jordan, if I miss any, let me know. Jorge says, would you use Giannis in multiple lineups? Wait, yeah, of course. I'm not sure. I guess he's saying like if you're playing 3 lineups, would you?
Yeah, I would use Giannis in as many lineups as I can get Giannis.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for the super chat. Goody, you as well, brother. Who the hell is Garuba? Question has been answered. Glad I faded. Not getting any run back with Cleveland. You interested in any Atlanta guys on DraftKings?
Yeah. In particular, I mean, we'll talk about that game.
Yeah, we can just get there now. I mean, Goody.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, good. I was gonna say Goody kind of slipping up because usually he's great with those super chat etiquettes. You know what I mean? Like throw you that right when Atlanta's there. But maybe he was preparing for it, and that's fine because this game's coming up. Did you want to say something?
Oh no, I was just gonna answer the question, but
Okay.
we can just do it when we talk about Atlanta.
Yeah, let's just get to Atlanta because otherwise we're just going out of order and shit gets out of hand and nobody wants that. Cleveland 6-point dogs against the Hawks, 230 total, but Goody, yes, we will get there. So how about Moses Brown starting over Kevin Love?
That was surprising. I know somebody in chat had mentioned it yesterday, and I didn't think it was going to happen. But
Well, props to them. I don't know who it was. I wasn't on the deeper dive.
yeah, I don't remember who it was, but yeah, it was kind of surprising to me. But I assume it's going to happen again.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Like they lost the game, but
even I know, and it's not like they can really afford to lose games right now.
Right.
Like
but,
they'll still get in the play-ins. Go ahead.
Going up against Capella, I assume they're gonna just go back to Brown, but I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Love.
I mean, Josh brought up a good point. When Moses Brown was out there, they looked good. It was when he came off that the Mavs started going on some serious runs. But I still don't know if that's enough to make a difference. Plus, good chance you need Kevin Love's offense for more than 25 minutes tonight. And also a much better matchup against Atlanta. So let's just start with the obvious two guys that are underpriced, the highest owned right now. And I think for good reason, Karis Levert looks really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a little bit lower on Levert than like the field is, but I still think he looks really good. Like I can't at 5,800 on DraftKings, I can't really do anything to make him not look like a good play. I do think that I'm just a little bit lower on him because his rates do take a hit, playing alongside Garland. But yeah, and I guess I am close to Alex. We both have him around 33 DraftKings points. So like you're getting a lot of minutes there. He played 38 last game. He played 32 the game before that. He played 36 in the previous game. And he's still pretty cheap at 5,800. So he's getting a lot of ownership, and I think he deserves it, especially because of the way that this slate looks right now. That's the kind of guy where, like at 5,800, if this were like yesterday's slate, Levert would still be getting a lot of ownership, but it would be lower because you would just have a lot of people going stars and scrubs and not getting to his price point. Today, you don't have a lot of those cheap value plays, so it just makes Levert really stand out here, assuming he's going to play another 36 minutes or so. No
doubt. And I mean, it's funny because like yesterday that you could find the Kevin Love prop for everything. There's no Kevin Love props today. There's just like, there's nothing, there's no one has any idea what's going to happen. Right. What I'm saying is I'm not really sure how you project him tonight. First off, it's a second of a back-to-back. Second, they lost that game. Third, he's started 2 games in March already when they were down front court guys. So it was just it was a strange decision by Bickerstaff, and now I don't know what to make of it. Do you think though that what's Love's ownership at right? Oh, he's still getting a lot of ownership.
Yeah, he's getting a decent amount. He still made it into both of my tournament plays videos, just as someone that was projected to be a bit under-owned. Right now, he's getting 22% on DraftKings at 5,900. On FanDuel, he's getting 14% at 6,300. I think he's risky because, if he plays 25 to 26 minutes, obviously he can disappoint. But at the same time, you should expect him to do better than he did yesterday when he only had 18.75 DraftKings points. He's averaged about 1.2 DraftKings points per minute this season. He's averaged about 1.15 FanDuel points per minute. And if he's playing well, that would increase the chances that you get him in the closing lineup. Like Moses Brown wasn't in the closing lineup yesterday either, outside of garbage time. They went with Garland, Okoro, Levert, Markkanen, and Stevens. Stevens, once again, finding his way into the closing lineup. But if Love is out there playing well and scoring, I think there's, a better chance that he picks up a few minutes down the stretch. So I still think there's a lot of volatility here. And on this slate, at least the way it looks right now, without much value, just having the potential for Kevin Love to go get, 40 DraftKings points at this price is pretty appealing at, not low ownership, but relatively low ownership compared to his chances of success.
Yeah. And it's really not out of the question that he does get the minutes we were projecting him for yesterday.
Yeah. And also he played quite a bit not quite a bit. He played minutes alongside Moses Brown as well. So I think that's worth noting too, where they had a stretch in the first quarter where Brown played with the second unit. Love was out there. In the second half, they didn't play together at all. But, maybe like if Brown starts, you could still conceivably get like 20 to 22 minutes from Brown and then still get Love, playing maybe 28 or 30 if he's playing well.
Do you agree with the Moses Brown ownership?
Assuming he starts, I don't really see a way around it, just given that we don't have a lot of good value today. And even if you give him 20 to 21 minutes, he projects for 22 or 23 DraftKings points, which looks really good at 3,200. You can certainly, if you can find the $700, for example, that's a spot where pivot, like if you need to save some ownership, pivoting to some Brook Lopez would make sense. But if Brown's starting, I think he's pretty clearly one of the best point per dollar values. What are you laughing at?
Is that what I think it is?
What?
I don't know if things can be heard throughout Jordan's apartment. I'm good. Is that who I think it is? Oh, she's back.
I have no idea what's going on.
I'll tell you. Jordan can throw it in chat. I don't want to blow up his spot, but that was shocking to me. I thought I would have been told about this, Jordan. I thought I would have been told about this, but I was not. Kept in the dark. You dirty dog. All right, let's keep going. Anything else for Cleveland that we didn't hit on yet? I guess there is, right? Like Garland, yeah. Stevens, Okoro, all of these guys are not popular, but they're up there.
Yeah, I mean, Garland is averaging 41 minutes per game over the last 10. I think that at 10-1, like he's clearly not a priority, but at 11%, there's still plenty of upside there. His rates have come down playing with Levert. I think that's to be expected. And then obviously the more minutes he plays with Love, his rates come down as well. So not a priority or anything. Lamar Stevens at 3,500 projected for 19% ownership. I get it. I mean, he's been closing games. If he gets 26 minutes or so, he does project as a pretty good point per dollar value. Even Okoro at 3,900, kind of the same thing, getting about 11% ownership. And it's just the fact that there's not much good value anywhere else.
All right, we'll get to Goody's question now. We would have gotten there anyway, Goody, but I still appreciate the support that you show us every day. I mean it. We also have free content on the site today. You got NBA player projections and NHL ownership projections. So hit that up, totally free if you're looking to get in on that. And awesemo.com/join if you want to actually look at all of our other stuff, all of the tools we talk about: ownership, player projections, top stack tool, boom bust tool, baseball coming up, top pitchers, top stacks, all that good stuff, fantasy cruncher add-on, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, MMA, UFC, that is MMA, PGA, NASCAR, esports, all of them. We got you covered over at awesemo.com/join, weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever you want to do. Express pass for less than $5. You know where to find it. All right. Atlanta, Adam, talk to me about the top here at the price, top of the salaries with Trae Young, just given that once again, he's in an odd space now that he's almost 11K, and you've got a lot of other top tier guys up there who are also very good at basketball.
Yeah, I think it makes him look good in tournaments, though. Right now, he's projected for 14% ownership. We have him with a 19% chance of being optimal. One thing to keep in mind here is that Cleveland defensively should not be nearly as good without Allen and Mobley as they have been for most of the season. So I think there's just, this is a game where a lot of times you would just kind of say like, well, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Trae Young, but tough matchup. Here, I think it's actually not that difficult of a matchup either. And he does have a really high ceiling. You still don't have John Collins. So you're talking about a 34 in the games without Collins this year. Young has about a 34.3% usage rate, 47% assist percentage. He's averaging 36 minutes per game. I do think this is another spot, kind of like I was saying with Kyrie and Durant, where Young doesn't look like the best payoff option in terms of chances of success or value, but he does still have a massive ceiling here and is, I think, going a bit under-owned. Clint Capella at 6,200, assuming this game's competitive, is likely to give you 28 to 30 minutes against a banged-up Cleveland front court. So I think he looks pretty good. And then similarly, or in that same vein, $3,400 Okongwu, where you're not playing Capella, perfectly fine going back to Okongwu for value. He's playing the non-Capella center minutes, which in a competitive game typically is going to mean 18 to 20 minutes. But at 3,400, that still gives Okongwu a pretty solid projection. And if anything happens, whether it be a blowout, Capella foul trouble, Okongwu just playing better than Capella, anything that gives him extra minutes just ends up making him look even more valuable. And then we also have Q tags on Gallinari and Bogdanovic. I'm assuming they're in for now. If Gallo's out, I would expect Luwawu Cabarrot to start. If Bogdanovic is also out, then you're probably just looking at more minutes for Herter, Hunter, DeLon Wright, and then more production for Trae Young.
All right. Top options here, because they're all so close in salary. Is Okongwu your favorite option from Atlanta just because he's super cheap and has some upside there at close to minimum salary?
I mean, it depends how you mean favorite, I guess, because my favorite is Trae Young. But
let's say guy that you think you'll have most exposure to.
I would guess I have more Okongwu than anyone else on this team, although I do kind of like Capella in tournaments too. But the Okongwu piece, like when you're getting Okongwu at 14% when Moses Brown is going to be 30%, and both guys project for like 20 minutes. I don't think the ownership gap should be that big, even though I do like Moses Brown.
Okay. Anything else from this game?
No.
Let's go to the Clippers and the Chicago Bulls. Should we do breaks of Gad now, or should we wait? Let me see what we got going on here. We'll wait. We'll do it after this game. That's what we'll do after this game. All right. So we have the Clippers with Paul George back, just an explosive game in his return too. Adam, dude's been out. He was out since the 22nd of December, comes back against Utah. They erase what was like a 27-point lead, and he drops 34, plays 31 minutes in his first game back. Granted, it was an elbow, it wasn't a lower body, but still, I think they play tomorrow too. So I don't even know, honestly, I don't even know if it matters. I'm just, throwing out all the circumstances here. I think they do play tomorrow, but George would be tough to get to anyway. Is there anything you like from the Clippers?
If George plays, he's playable in tournaments, I think. Like the fact that he played 31
play the
minutes,
Bucks tomorrow in Milwaukee, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that he's just going to play one and not the other, as opposed to
Same.
25 and 25. And I was surprised he played 31 minutes last game. Obviously, he has a very, very high ceiling at $9,400. It's not a bad spot. You are taking on a lot of risk, of course, because this is the second game back. We really don't know what to expect long term. But you do have, Morris and I think it was Batum questionable. Yeah, Morris and Batum questionable. Brandon Boston's also out. So if both of those guys are out, you do potentially get some more minutes opening up. Amir Coffey wasn't in the rotation at all last game. I would assume that he's back. Covington maybe plays a little bit more if they're both out. One thing to notice from last game too is that, not surprisingly, Ty Lue is a liar, and Reggie Jackson played 37 and a half minutes against Utah. I don't think you can project that. I'm still going to go like 32, but good to know at 6,600 that Reggie Jackson still has some upside there if Lue decides to just forego his made up minutes limit again.
Somebody DM me after the strategy show and said that Ty Lue was saying he was only limiting their minutes until Paul George came back. I didn't fact check that, but
I didn't either. I mean, the quote that I saw was rest of season, but I don't know.
I know it was for Marcus Morris for sure.
Rest of season or George?
Rest of season.
Okay.
I know for a fact, I remember reading the quote that was rest of season. I don't remember the rest though, is what I'm saying. But look, are you really that surprised? It's
no, not at all.
If I had to guess, and who, I forget what your name was, but you feel free to send me like a link to that. I wouldn't mind looking at it. But do you think it's also possible that that maybe it was with Paul George that people still didn't think he was close, and then he was like, okay, I'm good, and then Ty Lue was like, oh, maybe we can make a little bit of a run here to close out the season?
But I mean, the thing is, like, they're 6 games behind Minnesota for the 7 seed, and they're 4.5 up on New Orleans for the 8, so they're kind of just good.
Yeah, they're stuck in standings purgatory right now.
Right.
Yeah, I guess so. It's unimportant. I do think though, if George plays today and doesn't play tomorrow, could you get 35 minutes from him? Maybe, probably, it's possible. You're not going to project him for that, but you see a lot of usage. I will say too, Reggie Jackson's assist rate with Paul George on the floor this season is 17%. The Reggie Jackson's certainly going to take a hit. Not that we didn't know that already, but Reggie Jackson is not priced anywhere near somebody that would be playing alongside Paul George, I don't think.
Yeah, 0.88 DraftKings points per minute in 26 games with Paul George this season for Jackson, 33.2 minutes per game in those games. So yeah, I mean, 6,600, like if he played 38 minutes again, I guess I would have some interest, but still nothing that would really stand out. If we assume that Morris and Batum are in for now, I think George is still, mildly interesting in tournaments just because there's that element of like, we really don't know what it's going to look like. But we know that he's really good and that he certainly has a massive ceiling playing with this version of the Clippers. And then, if you end up taking some shots on like Luke Kennard at 3,800 just because there's a lack of value, that's fine. If you get to some Hartenstein, that's fine. But it's a really difficult team to trust because they have a ton of bodies that they can use. They have a head coach that just seems to change his mind every other day on what he wants to do. So there is upside in some of these guys, but really difficult to trust them.
All right, let's talk about Chicago then. Chicago Bulls on the other side, DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, Groundhog's Day, Adam, when it comes to this conversation between the three guys.
Yeah, exactly. Just they all look good again. I think that, once again, you have only $400 separate DeRozan, Vooch, and LaVine. LaVine's not as good a point per minute guy as the other two, but he does have shooting guard, small forward eligibility on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's only a shooting guard, but he's also only $7,400, so he still looks pretty good there. Vooch at 8,100 should have plenty of success against the Clippers front court, I think. DeRozan is DeRozan. He's going to play big minutes. He's 8,400. He's, about a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy. They all just look pretty good. I think that looking at the ownership, the projected ownership between them, 20% going to DeRozan, 14 to Vooch, 16 to LaVine. All of those look pretty reasonable. LaVine a little bit under-owned, the other two a little bit over-owned, but nothing to the point where I would be like actively looking to avoid them.
Hit that thumbs up too if you hadn't done so yet. We got 405, 95 to 500, 2,200 people watching right now. If you forgot, it's cool. Take that 1 second. Show us a little love here. There we go. We 92 to 500. We'll get there. We got 13 minutes to get to 500. I have no fears whatsoever. Do we have any news coming up here? Game time decisions for Bogdanovich and Danilo Gallinari. All right. I'm
really enjoying this argument Josh is in chat.
What argument now?
Somebody said that Amir Coffey played limited minutes last game. He played 28 seconds to close the third quarter, and that was it. And so Josh pointed out that he wasn't in the rotation, and now they're arguing technicalities.
You gotta love it. Josh just seeks this stuff out.
Yeah.
Moth to a flame. That's exactly. So I love and respect that Anton's argument though is, well, technically he played. Love it. Stick to your guns, man. He
wasn't in the rotation though. He just snuck by Ty Lue for 28 seconds before Lue grabbed him back off the court.
But did he play?
Yeah.
All right. That's all I'm saying. Team Anton, baby. Chicago. Outside of DeRozan, LaVine, and Vooch, how much can we get to any of these like secondary options? White, Caruso, Dosunmu. Dosunmu is getting a little bit of ownership. His price continues to come down ever since Caruso came back to the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty tough to get to those guys. Again, 5-game slate, lack of value. If you end up with a little bit of Caruso or Dosunmu here or there, I think it's okay, but nothing I'm going crazy about. One spot I am sort of interested in, as long as he doesn't get any ownership, and right now he's projected for 2%, is Patrick Williams at 3,200. Billy Donovan had said that Williams would get more run basically when he earns it and when he plays aggressively and looks like he should be on the floor. He played 24, almost 25 minutes last game. It's not like he's a great point per minute guy, but he is small forward, power forward eligible on DraftKings at only 3,200. If he gets 24 to 26 minutes, he's not, to me, like he's not a worse play than some of these other guys that are getting way more ownership.
It makes
it's a big
sense.
if, but
Say it again.
like if Williams gets another 24 to 26 minutes,
Oh,
I would
right.
rather have him at 2% than like Olynyk at 18 or some of these other guys, Kennard at 16, whatever it is. Like, I think those guys should be higher owned, to be clear, because like they're good point per minute guys. I feel more confident in their minutes, but knowing that there's a possibility for Patrick Williams to get 24 to 26 minutes here at 3,200 and virtually no ownership on a slate with no good value, it makes him really interesting in tournaments.
Yeah, it does. And like, there's always the off chance with Olynyk that, he's on a team that doesn't really have a lot of great players. So if he does start shooting well, who knows? But
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so that's nice. Even though his shot volume, his usage has still been pretty low, more so just the minutes that are going to equate to low shot volume. But yeah, with a guy like Patrick Williams, just to kind of drive home what you're saying, you need those minutes. Like 18 minutes from Patrick Williams ain't getting you there. 18 minutes from Olynyk might.
Right. Yeah. And it's just on a slate where everybody is just like, a lot of very mediocre value is relatively popular because there's just not good cheap value and there's a lot to pay up for. I like taking a shot on somebody like Patrick Williams that, if he's playing well, can get you 26 minutes. He's not a good point per minute guy. He's only at 0.55 DraftKings points per minute this season. Last season, I think he was around like 0.7, and that's where I expect him to come in going forward. But it's not a safe play in terms of playing time or in terms of production, but there's not a lot of good, safe, cheap options anyway.
Definitely sounded like you were about to say, I like taking a shit on someone like Patrick.
I realized how it sounded. I don't remember what I was caught between with
you corrected yourself. It's just it would have fit perfectly in there. Yet you found a way out. All right. Anything else for Chicago, or should we wrap this up with the Lakers in Utah?
So, and again, just somebody said I'm a Bulls fan, but I'm off Pat Williams today. Nobody is on Pat Williams. It's just a matter of the guy is 2% owned, and it's certainly possible that he scores 22 DraftKings points or something. Yeah, nobody is nobody's saying Pat Williams is like a good play. It's just a matter of, nobody's saying Pat Williams is like there's like legitimate reasons Pat Williams is going to do well. It's just that he's not getting any ownership on a slate where anybody that is remotely close to being a good value option is like 15% owned.
And if you're looking at like the best value on this slate, if you look at our boom bust tool, you look at the optimal percentage or even the boom rating, which a lot of times will kind of accentuate value. You're talking about Moses Brown, right? You're looking at Kelly Olynyk, just going down the list here of actual like cheap guys, Luke Kennard, Dwight Howard. If there was, usually when there's great value, you just want to stick with that. When Tyus Jones goes from 3,500 to 3,300 without, not that the price matters, but they lowered it. When you have those guys, it's unwise to try and get away from those value options. You could just differentiate maybe at the top, like going to an Embiid over a Giannis if Embiid's way lower owned. But on a night like tonight, there really isn't a lot of like bona fide top tier value at all.
Right. If you look at the ownership projections on DraftKings and you just look at who's like the sub 4K guys that are getting a lot of ownership and you think about their minutes, and this for a second, just ignoring fantasy points per minute, because fantasy points per minute is the reason why these guys are getting ownership.
Right.
But when you just think about the minutes, Moses Brown probably playing like 20. Stanley Johnson probably around 30, but certainly could be less because who the hell knows. Lamar Stevens probably mid-20s, but again, could be less. Kelly Olynyk, probably like 16. Luke Kennard, probably mid-20s, but certainly could be less. Okongwu, probably around 20. You're not talking about any of these cheap guys outside of Stanley Johnson where you're like really confident that they're playing 30-plus minutes or anything. So all that's separating them from Patrick Williams is that they're better point-per-minute guys, which, of course, that's why they're getting ownership. But that's baked in. Like, you're kind of just getting 8-to-1 odds that this guy playing 20 minutes beats Patrick Williams, who could play 24 minutes if he's playing well. So my point is just that like none of these are really safe, good value options. Why not go to the guy that's 2% owned?
Right. No, I get it. And it's not even specifically Patrick Williams. In this case, it is. But I'm saying you can make arguments for some guys just on any slate like this where Moses Brown is your top value option.
Yeah, if there's any other $3,200 guys that I think could play 25 minutes that we get to, I'll mention them as well because it's the same kind of thing.
All right. 4 up, 1 to go on a Thursday evening. I think I wanted to say thanks for getting us to 500 likes. First of all, appreciate you guys. Never fails. You always come through. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Stick around. Coming up next, it's Live Before Lock with Josh Engleman and Greg Ehrenberg. And are they doing a post-lock show as well? Yeah, Jordan says yes. They're doing a post-lock show. Hang out with them till 7:30 as well. Talking some betting, odd shopper ownership, looking over lineups, and who knows what they'll get into. But before this last game, you know what time it is. Time to talk about Breaks of God. Breaks of God, fantasy sports fans. What have you caught a break with the potential to net a couple $100,000 with less than $100 investment? Well, we got great news because breaksofgod.com is the place to catch that break. Breaks of God is the latest sports card collecting trend to catch fire in America. And it's how sports card collectors of all ages are building high-value card collections without huge investments or risks. It's quickly become a popular and economical way for sports fans to get potentially high-value or rare cards without having to buy a $1,500 box or case themselves. From football to baseball and everything in between, there are many slot options available for under $100 so you can get in on the big money action. Breaks of God box breaks dramatically increase your odds of getting big money premium sports trading cards for a fraction of the cost of expensive, hard to get boxes. And all the cards are broken from sealed premium boxes live on Instagram, and the cards are shipped directly to you for free when the live break is over. Slots are limited though, so act fast. And to learn more about how you can hit big money cards and get 30% off, 30, your first break, go to breaksofgod.com/A30. That's /A30 like Awesemo, A30. Breaksofgod.com/A30 and get 30% off your first break. Also, Jordan, where do you suppose we would follow these fine lads on Instagram?
At Breaks of God.
Good. There it is. Breaks of God. Check them out. We love them. You love them too. Everyone loves Breaks of God. Last one, Adam. Let's do it. We got a few minutes to go here. Lakers. What a shit show this is. Anthony Davis this was great. It wasn't even like targeting a return. It said something like Anthony Davis targeting a game time decision on Friday. Something ridiculous. I have no idea, but he's out. LeBron's out. Wenyen Gabriel's in. Do you want to pay or do you want to play 32% Stanley Johnson today?
That's another one of those where, like, I understand why the ownership is there. I think he's one of the better value options, just given that he's likely to play a lot of minutes. But he's still Stanley Johnson. He still sucks, and he still has a bad matchup against Utah. So there's still a lot of things working against him. And it's just a situation where, like, okay, if Stanley Johnson goes and does, score 26 DraftKings points or something like that, cool, but you're still competing with 1/3 of the field. Whereas if Stanley Johnson just does what he's fully capable of and scores like 15 DraftKings points at 32% owned, you're in a really good spot if you don't have him. So it's just an example of, like, yeah, I think he's a good point per dollar play, but I also think he's pretty drastically over-owned in terms of his ownership versus chances of success. I mean, 32% projected ownership on DraftKings, 16% optimal percentage, 16% boom percentage, 28% bust percentage. I get why he's getting ownership, but I think he's pretty drastically over-owned.
What were you saying about SiriusXM?
Somebody said something about us getting a show on XM.
Oh, yeah. I had a show on there for like 5 years with different places. First, it was Fantasy Insiders, then Fan Vice. I did some stuff with Fantasy Alarm, Howard Bender, and then we had Awesemo Radio for a while. But yeah, I didn't want to do that anymore. It's too much, man. During quarantine, it was insane. I won't get into it, but yeah, insane. I like doing this stuff. Plus, this is the future, right, man? Like podcasting, YouTube. I'm serious. Like, it's the future of media. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. It's not
what it used to be. No, it's not what it used to be. Like, now I still tell people, oh, I do YouTube shows. Like, oh, neat, right? But like, soon you tell them you're on. You tell, like, one of Justine's parents' friends, you do radio, and they're like, whoa, cool. You're
Right.
telling me do YouTube shows and podcasts. They're like tapping her on the shoulder. When are you going to divorce him?
Yeah, man, I've had that conversation enough times at bars and stuff. I know how it goes.
But like younger people understand that it's the way we're going. Daryl Jones, 4K utility, Brook Lopez, Okongwu, Moses Brown, or Johnson.
Yes. It kind of depends on like what it a lot depends on the rest of your lineup, right? Like if you're playing popular guys like elsewhere throughout your lineup, then I like going to like a Brook Lopez or an Okongwu more than a Brown or a Stanley Johnson, given the ownership difference. If you've already, if you've put in like Kyrie Irving at 4% or something like that, you can still play, like Lopez and Okongwu are still good, but then I'm more willing to just take like the better projected guy and, roll with a Moses Brown or a Stanley Johnson. So I think those are all I think they're four of the best cheap value plays on the slate, but it's kind of just what fits into that lineup. What do you need? And also there's a price difference there between Johnson, Lopez, and Okongwu, Brown.
Anything else on the Lakers before we wrap it up with Utah?
Yeah, I think so. Dwight Howard here is, well, the Lakers rotation in general is interesting, but Dwight Howard played like 5 minutes against Dallas last game. I don't really have anything to chalk that up to other than it's the Lakers. But I do think that going up against Gobert and Utah's front court, I wouldn't be surprised if you did get Howard back into the 20s. He's still 4,200, so he's not going to look like a great option. But, I would expect him, assuming he stays in the starting lineup, I would expect him to play actual minutes tonight against Utah. Not the worst dart throw type guy in tournaments. Malik Monk at 5,500, I think is my favorite play from the Lakers. Obviously, he's a little bit more expensive than Stanley Johnson, but he did play 32 minutes against Dallas, didn't play garbage time down the stretch, so maybe could have played a little bit more, gets a bump in usage without LeBron and Davis. And then Westbrook, obviously a really high ceiling if you can get to him, but I think pretty much correctly priced.
All right, we're very much up against it here. Just wrap us up with Utah. Send everybody, well, not on their way. Send them into a brief intermission where they can hang around, talk to Jordan Klein and chat, and wait on Josh Engleman and Greg for live before live.
I think we got it. I'd forgotten. I think we got news. Yeah. So Wendy and Gabriel will start. It didn't stay for who. Maybe that's for Dwight Howard. Either way, if Wendy and Gabriel starting, it doesn't make his playing time safe, but it does make it look a little bit better. At 4,100, he's another reasonable value option. As far as the Utah side, Donovan Mitchell, I think looks great. 8,800, so you're getting a price discount off of those, real top tier guys, but you're still talking about someone that averages around 1.25 DraftKings points per minute and has a phenomenal matchup against the Lakers. Rudy Gobert, I think, looks very good at 7,700 as well. Mike Conley's averaged a fantasy point per minute in the games that he's played with Mitchell this year, likely to produce at a higher rate than that against the Lakers. But one other thing that's nice with Conley is we had gotten the report a few weeks ago or a month or so ago that Conley's minutes were going to be ramped up a little bit to close out the season. We haven't seen anything crazy, but for the season in the games he's played with Mitchell, he's averaged 28 minutes per game. Over his last 10, he's at 29.5. Over his last 5, he's at 30.5. You are seeing the minutes trend up a little bit for him, which looks pretty good. We still have Bogdanovich questionable and House questionable. That matters in that, like if Bogdanovich is out again, you can certainly see more playing time for Jordan Clarkson if this game's competitive. He played 33 minutes and was in the closing lineup. If Bogdanovich is in, then you're probably looking more so at like 27, 28 minutes for Clarkson. Similarly, Juancho Hernan-Gomez played 28 minutes with Bogdanovich out last game. If he's in, then you're obviously not expecting Hernan-Gomez to start. But at 3,800, Hernan-Gomez would be a good value if Bogdanovich is out.
Appreciate you guys as always. We'll close it with this real quick question because it was a $10 super chat. Appreciate it, Action Jack. DFS cash. Is it okay to fade Giannis and stack guards?
I haven't built a cash lineup. Giannis was in like all of the dummy crunch optimal lineups, or most of the dummy crunch optimals I used. So I wouldn't lean that way because you do also have relative guard value with guys like Karis Levert. So I think Giannis would be the first pay up guy for me in cash.
All right. That'll do it for us. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of the day. Stick around. Live Before Locks coming up next. Follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS, me at Lafayette _D, and shout out to producer extraordinaire. Sure is.
People are
Jordan
saying Boyan's in. Have you seen that?
What a guy. All right. We'll see you back here soon. Peace. What's that?
People were saying Boyan's in, but I haven't seen it.
Well,
do that right now, Greg. It's going to make everything way better for sure. Yeah, I'm positive of it.
I used to produce.
I know this.
Jordan. Josh has produced shows and been on shows. Jordan's only produced.
Yeah. And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock. It is Thursday, March 31st. I don't know what the days are anymore. It doesn't really matter. Thursday, March 31st is what we're going to go with. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Greg Ehrenberg. We are brought to you by Odds Shopper, and we will certainly talk about them in a bit. But before we do anything, 587 likes, 2,300 people in here. Let's hit that thumbs up. Let's get those likes up. That is what we're looking for more than anything. Greg, how are you? I assume like 7 guys are getting ruled out right now.
Yes, but for tomorrow's game. So if you guys are not aware, because this is going to be relevant for sports betting, the Memphis Grizzlies just ruled out everybody for tomorrow, and DraftKings has not yet taken down the line and moved it yet. So I was just betting them Suns minus 3.5 tomorrow against Memphis. That's going to be like a 12.5 point line tomorrow or something.
Pay attention to what I'm saying, everybody. I just thought that I read this most recent tweet that popped up as so-and-so very good play today wasn't playing. Because I just assumed that when I said, like, it was just Coach Bud confirming that Giannis is in fact in. But when I looked to my left at the top, I was like, oh my God, I was right.
And
it really freaked me out.
The other thing, he wasn't even on the injury report today, so I don't even understand why that's news. What was he on the injury report?
I think so. I think he was listed as probable all day.
Oh,
he was
might have
listed
been
as
listed as
probable
probable.
this morning when I first started the day. I don't know if that changed or not. Milwaukee. Yes, he was listed as probable.
Okay.
So for all accounts, he wasn't listed at all.
Oftentimes when players are listed as probable or doubtful, it just isn't really on my radar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not much of a distinction. Oh, man. How you feeling about this slate today?
It's hard to feel great about any slates these days, to be honest. The main reason is, for me at least, it's a 5-game slate. I don't know what the hell to do with the front court minutes for the Cleveland Cavaliers. For the sake of my sanity, I hope they just start Kevin Love today, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, this is easier to predict. If they go back with Moses Brown at center, which is probably what they're going to do, it's just so hard for me to know what the minutes are going to be.
Are we going to get like a normal show today for the first time in ages? Kind of feels like it.
I feel like there's going to be some Bogdanovich confusion at some point, but outside of that, yeah.
Well, there's going to be Bogdanovich confusion everywhere, always, for people's lack of reading ability. Ooh, Huggy Bear into the Hall of Fame. Good for him. Tim Hardaway making the Hall of Fame is an absolute farce, but whatever.
Oh, I didn't even realize they did that today.
Manu, Swin Cash, Bob Huggins, Tim Hardaway. Those are the only 4 that I've seen so far. Obviously, Ginobili should be in pretty easily. Huggins coached 45 years, 2-time coach of the year. That makes sense. Tim Hardaway should not be in the Hall of Fame. That's insane.
Yeah, and I think because I assume people are right away going to jump on and be like, "Whoa, Manu!" No, while he wasn't an MVP caliber player in the NBA, his efficiency was ridiculous, and it also incorporates what he did outside of NBA play. So he was really significant in international play in the Olympics and all that.
Yeah, the old school Argentina teams were exceptional, and he had a lot to do with that. If it was just based on the NBA, he would not be in at all. He was really, really good, but he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. International play puts him in.
I wonder what his numbers were in international play. He didn't come to the NBA until he was like 25.
They're usually like, I'm sure they don't look good. I bet his efficiency is crazy good, but like his raw numbers are probably like, you averaged 14 and 7 or something, because international play is just really wonky. I guess this is the second time I've seen it now in chat. People mentioning that there's a Q tag next to Giannis on DraftKings. Don't ever look at that. He hasn't been questionable all day, ever.
So this is because there's a couple things ongoing here. Number one, you guys, Josh is here. You don't have to try to troll Eric, because this is something that people like to troll Eric. They bring up the DK news and it makes them freak out all the time. But there's also a lot of people that take the DK/FanDuel news as gospel, and it's terrible. As soon as Goga got ruled in the other day, there was a blurb up on the DraftKings player card that Goga was ruled out. Like as soon as he was ruled in. So don't go look at those. And then he ended up having a great game.
Somebody just mentioned that Hardaway had a good college career. He averaged 13.5 points per game his junior year of college at UTEP. So maybe we pump the brakes a little bit on how great Tim Hardaway Jr.'s college career was. Sorry, Tim Hardaway Sr.
Maybe there's just some people in the chat that support his off-court opinions.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think his opinions have changed, but was not a great dude 10 years ago or so, whenever all of that originally dropped. But we don't need to get into that. I guess we could sort of follow the same blueprint we normally want to do. Who are your favorite guards for today? Uh-oh.
All right, I think I'm back. Something just froze. Probably me.
Who are your favorite guards for today?
All right. So my favorite guards today, the good thing is, even though I didn't hear the end of your question, I knew you were going with it. And I was like, oh, something dropped off here in a not good way. And also just at the same time it dropped off, some bad weather started to come through here. So I was like, well, I wonder if that's going to be problematic. Whatever. Top guards. It's really hard for me to get away from Karis Levert today, because with all of the stuff that's going on, we don't know what's happening in the front court for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The backcourt, it's going to be Karis Levert starting, and he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's going to have a lot of usage, and his salary just hasn't moved enough. In fact, his salary went down on DraftKings from last game. He went from $5,900 to $5,800. He started and played 38 minutes with a 29% usage rate last game. Karis Levert is a guy that we're accustomed to seeing priced like $3,000 more expensive than what he is right now on DraftKings. So I find him to be a piece of chalk that's really hard to get away from.
I'm with you. I am not playing 150 lineups tonight. I'm just playing one big single entry lineup, and that is on FanDuel. But if I were playing 150, he would be my most exposed player. He's 5,200 on FanDuel. It's just a completely dumb price tag. It's fine. Anybody else standing out to you? Is there anybody close to Levert at guard?
Nope. He's just on a tier of his own today. He's so much better on both FanDuel and DraftKings. So I referenced the DraftKings price just because it's, a good amount more expensive than the FanDuel price, and it still doesn't matter. These games are really significant for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're doing whatever they can to not be in the playing game. They don't have Evan Mobley. They don't have Jared Allen. They're just going to play Karis Levert as many minutes as he can. Who the hell knows what they're going to do in the front court? We should know in a little bit, at least what the starting lineup is going to be. But at least for now, Karis Levert is the top play on the slate on both sites, and there's no way around it.
Yep. I completely agree. Anybody pulling ownership at guard that you think is a little excessive?
Donovan Mitchell is projected for 23% ownership on DraftKings right now at $8,800. The $8,100 price tag on FanDuel is a little bit broken. It's just not nearly what it should be. But at least on DraftKings, where he's 8,800, it is a really positive matchup against the Lakers, and the Lakers are missing a bunch of guys. But I don't think he warrants 23% ownership because it's not like there's that much value I feel great about today. You're the most popular cheap plays on DraftKings. And the reason this is relevant is because it kind of speaks to how easy it is to pay up for players today. Moses Brown, who I think for right now, assuming he starts, is a good value play. I don't even know if he's going to end up starting, though. Then we've got Stanley Johnson at 3,800 picking up a bunch of ownership. And Lamar Stevens is really popular today. So if people are jamming in these guys just to be able to get to, like Donovan Mitchell, Giannis, obviously I have no issues with him as a spend up option, but I do think Donovan Mitchell is going a little bit overowned because I don't find him that easy to get to because I am prioritizing Giannis at the high end.
Okay. Mitchell for 8,100 on FanDuel does stand out a little bit to me. Just different pricing clear across the board. Same story for Levine, 7,400 on FanDuel. Just too low in comparison to DraftKings. And then my boy Tyrese Maxey, 5,900 on FanDuel, another guy that if I were playing 150 lineups, I would be well over the field for. A lot of people in chat not liking my Tim Hardaway isn't a Hall of Famer take. They get to just continue to be wrong, I guess.
To be honest, I'm not super opinionated on whether Tim Hardaway Jr. should be Hall of Fame or not. And one of the things, or Tim Hardaway Sr., I'm positive Tim Hardaway Jr. should not be a Hall of Famer.
He's probably just as close as his dad.
So the thing that's really hard is I just don't know what the scale is in terms of what players we're comparing to. So much of it seems so subjective in terms of what's a Hall of Famer, what's not a Hall of Famer. The baseball situation is a total farce because not only is it who's what's good, it's we're arbitrarily determining who we think used performance-enhancing drugs, and there's all other kinds of stuff that goes into it. I don't know what the baseline is for Hall of Famer in the NBA.
Well, we know that you can add in international play, college. It's a universal situation. He had one legitimate year in college, 3 other years that were totally meaningless. So it's not like he's getting some sort of gigantic bump from his one good senior year at UTEP. So we can put that one to bed pretty quickly. He was a league neutral guy in true shooting for his entire career, 100 on the dot. And it basically never fluctuated. So average there, that's fine. 24-ish% usage for his career. Obviously a great assist guy, as a point guard, that looks fine. I don't exactly see what he's doing here to make him a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's good. He's very good. We can't put everybody in. 3-9 in playoff series his entire career. Yes, he won 3 series. One happened the first year that he went to the playoffs. Got 2 random wins with Miami when he was 30. And then it was just a bunch of his teams getting smacked around in the first round of every single playoff series.
Trying to think what the closest comp is to him, because I'm just kind of looking through his accolades. This is obviously
his number one sim score is Marbury. His second one is Deron Williams. I think those are both really good comps for careers. 2 guys that shouldn't be in the damn Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at his career, he made 5 all NBA teams. He was also an all-star 5 times. That's not a lot of longevity of being, a high caliber player. Now, off the top of my head, do I know that Was he deserving of all those all-star appearances? Was he deserving of more? I don't know that exactly, but that's not a super high peak. Like I'm trying to think, what's a guard right now that's had like 5 really good years? Kyle Lowry, maybe?
Yeah, Lowry is on his list. DeRozan is probably like an interesting comp, just like without the assists and more scoring. But I mean, 5 all NBA teams is not a Hall of Fame career to me.
By the way, Chad is going absolutely crazy with this.
I know. I can't believe
this
shouldn't even be controversial. He played how many years? How many seasons is this? From 1990, I don't know, it was 12, 13, something like that. He made 5 all NBA teams.
You know what I think is? I saw this as Chad was scrolling and people were bringing up a lot of players. This is one that I don't think is a bad comp, not in terms of play style. Play style comps are generally stupid to me. Players come out of the draft and like, oh my God, look, this guy is this player, this guy's this player. And then they just come into the league and then they become a comp themselves that other like the comps never mean anything. But in terms of what I'm trying to do with a comp here is just who is in today's game that has about an equal amount of accomplishments. And I think the one that actually be most relevant to me is probably John Wall.
That's probably decent. I mean, what about like Jimmy Butler?
I think I'd have Butler. I have so many biases about Jimmy Butler also though, but
I mean, like, would you expect Jimmy Butler to make the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
He has 4 all NBA third teams and that's it.
But I also don't think he's done. Like, I think Butler's somewhat likely to make an all NBA team this year as well. And then potentially in the future.
32.
Yeah. Still though, I think it's going to depend on health too, because he gets hurt so often. But I think he's going to probably end up racking up more accolades than what Hardaway has.
Like, how different is Tim Hardaway than Kemba?
That's another one.
Kemba certainly had a better college career.
So the other thing too, when you're looking at these guys who got the reason that I think he kind of compares to a lot of guys that have been hurt or had shortened careers is because the peak of Tim Hardaway was not all that significant, right? He had 5. We're looking at, like 5 high caliber years. And so a lot of guys like a John Wall, Kemba Walker, same thing. It's, a shorter peak.
Yeah, I'm a small Hall guy. I don't see it for Tim Hardaway. That's all.
All I know is that Chad is very opinionated on this. This has been a never-ending wall of text. There's Jordan. I hope you're documenting the super chats for us because they are long gone in the chat.
Yeah, I can't get to anything basically. The farthest back I can go is SGE205's question. So Jordan, if you could hit me with the screenshots of all of those in some way, and I'll start ripping them off. But Hardaway at his okay. Well, now you know how bad this is, and now you know why I'm right. Because when Isaiah Battles rolls in and says Hardaway at his peak was like Michael Jordan, you know how ridiculous every other take is going to be. So
all I know is we've got people very riled up about this topic. There are some people that hate us now.
Yeah, I don't.
They're
like. It's not like I'm saying that Tim Hardaway sucks. I just don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame. What are we talking about here? It's a Hall of Fame, not a Hall of very good.
It's the equivalent of, it's like the equivalent of saying DeMar DeRozan's in the MVP conversation this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
we're
going to give 5 guys MVP shares.
DeMar DeRozan's having a very nice season. 0 people will give him a first place MVP vote.
In the MVP voting, he finished 19th, 8th, 4th, and 6th. Those are the only times he ever showed up on the list. So 3 times, only once in any season did anybody vote him in the top 5 of anything. Only 3 times was he ever in the top 10. That's not a Hall of Famer. It's just not. It's not. I'm not like discounting everything he did in the NBA, but we can't put everybody in.
How do we go about? How do you go about kicking him out now?
I mean, if it were up to me, I wouldn't have had to kick him out. I would have just left him out. It's that easy. It's that easy. Got traded with Chris Gatling for Bimbo Coles and Kevin Willis. That's a funny trade. All right.
By the way, as I'm looking at, we have an ownership update in a little bit, but I have been ruminating on the question you asked me before. The other guy like Lamar Stevens is projected for over 20% ownership on DraftKings today.
Yeah.
On FanDuel, he is, FanDuel's totally different just because he's more expensive at 4,800.
Right.
I get that we're starved for value on this slate, but are really over 20% Lamar Stevens? That seems excessive.
I don't get it. If it helps, I don't get it. Let me dump in the DraftKings ownership into my sheet, and I could take a double, another look at it because I hadn't been looking at DK first. A lot of people want us to stop talking about this, by the way. The line on the graph of how many people are in here is on a straight line up. So whatever we're doing appears to be working. And if you guys don't like it, even better.
And on the Lamar Stevens, I don't even understand how you project Lamar Stevens well.
I don't have to me, he's probably given that ownership. Obviously, at 3,500, you get shooting guard, small forward. That's as advantageous of a setup as you're going to get. He grades out as the worst guy that I gave 20 minutes to on Cleveland, and it's not close.
Yeah, and realistically, what's his upside? So last game, he scored 20 fantasy points. He played 26 minutes. Is he going to kill you in 26 minutes scoring 20 fantasy points? No, he won't. And I know that the Cleveland Cavaliers have guys out. But if you look at his overall production for the year, he is playing 15 and a half minutes per game and averages 11 fantasy points. It is difficult for me to project him over 20 fantasy points. Bogdanovich is in, by the way.
I have him at 16 and a half in 24 minutes.
Yeah, I have him right around 17.
Yeah. Unless if his ownership stays there, he's the worst play on DraftKings based on the ownership.
When I ran my first crunch and he showed up in some of my lineups, I actually just unselected him so he wouldn't show up at all. And I was like, I don't want it because I just don't have interest in him at 20% ownership.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't have an interest in him at all.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Also, I think just because there's so few cheap options that are really strong to look at on this slate, though, he showed up in I think it was 8% of lineups the first crunch it. It's well, just going to take him out. I might as well have 0.
You know what else is really awesome to look at? Our free content for today. NBA player projections are free. NHL ownership projections are free. Browse to both of those. Those links might be in the description of this video. They're probably going to show up in chat once chat stops talking about Tim Hardaway. And or you can just go straight to awesemo.com and browse to them if you're interested in doing so. Schedule for the rest of the night is non-existent. Now I could hit on some of these super chats from Jordan, which I assume are plentiful. So are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
All righty. Oh, shit. Okay. There we go. My filler arcs with the super chat said, how is Tim Hardaway in the Hall of Fame? DraftKings just said he is out yesterday, not retired. That's a good one. I'll take it.
You know what? I'm sure there's a blurb on DraftKings that says that Tim Hardaway Jr. will play today, even though the Mavericks are number 1 not playing and number 2 is out for the season.
That would be great. SGE 205. Okay. Love Bobby Portis, Harden, Johnson, and Reggie Jackson.
What is there a question there? Or
no, that is names. Love Bobby Portis, Harden, Johnson, the letter N, Reggie Jackson? Question mark.
Well, I don't like Bobby Portis very much today. I don't know.
No, I don't like Bobby Portis at all. I want this sound clip to exist, so I don't like Johnson.
There we go. You're a liar. But for Stanley Johnson is another guy that I think is going over-owned. There are value plays that are very volatile today that I would rather get to than the likes of Stanley Johnson and Lamar Stevens. You know who one of those guys is? Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk is projected for less ownership in those guys. I have no clue how many minutes Kelly Olynyk is going to play. But if he gets minutes, he has considerably more upside than somebody like Lamar Stevens.
I also don't know if he's saying that he likes Kevin Love or that's just he loves Bobby Portis, Harden, Johnson, and Reggie Jackson. SG, I apologize. There's just no way for me to figure out what in the world you're asking.
Same
If you could
starting
pop that
lineup
in
for
regular
the Cavs.
chat, that'd be great. What did we get?
Same starting lineup for the Cavs.
Okay, good to know. Moses Brown starting once again. We go to Mike 1377. You put two of them in here. Same question for both. How do you feel about Westbrook tonight in DK Cash?
Cash game, Westbrook. You're playing with fire, my friend. So
I don't love it.
You don't love it? Is this a reference to the last super chat or?
Oh no, I mean, he's on the borderline of it all to me on DK. Way more reasonable on FanDuel, although obviously scoring on FanDuel for Westbrook is not ideal. But
cash games, you can't play Westbrook though. I don't think for cash games, I don't think you can play Westbrook.
I just assume that there's something better. Like I'd rather have Levine than Westbrook. They're at comparable-ish price tags. I'd rather have Donovan Mitchell than Westbrook if you don't already have him. Now, these guys are a little bit more expensive. At least Mitchell is, but
if nothing else based on ownership, I would go with Mitchell over Westbrook. People aren't going to play Westbrook in cash games. Mitchell's probably going to be fairly popular, so that would make him more advantageous. But the guards that I'd be looking at in cash games, Levert, Malik Monk, those would be the highest priorities. Mike Conley's another one that I think would make sense for cash games on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Westbrook, there's too much volatility there. Too much. For me.
I think I'm on the same page. He would have to be like, I've put 7 guys in. I have 8,600 left. It's not crazy. Like he's pulling enough ownership that I don't think it's ridiculous. I would guess that he wouldn't be that highly ranked for me in comparison to some of the other potential guard options. Then we get to Michael McKinney, 3 absolute must plays in FanDuel cash. This one's pretty easy. Levert has to be in there. I'm guessing Donovan Mitchell is going to be in there at 8,100. After that, it gets a little dicey. Conley's pulling a ton of ownership. I don't love it. Giannis is 4th in ownership overall, and I do love it. Just don't know how easily that gets built. Like you could just as easily go to Durant at 10-9. Maybe you can get to both of them. But Levert and Mitchell to me are firmly the top 2.
For me, it's Levert, Mitchell, and Giannis.
Okay. Giannis would be my 4th ranked guy here, and he's 4th in ownership. So I assume it would be Giannis. No issues there. I think we're caught up on super chats now.
Yeah, we did get a bunch. We got
a shit ton of them coming in right now. Great. I got it.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Favorite FanDuel play under 20% owned. That is from Alan Alexander, friend of the program. So thank you for putting that one in.
Under 20%. Let me sort.
I think it's Embiid for me.
Under 20%. Vooch for me.
Okay. Yeah, I would say Embiid would be my top guy. Gobert, honestly.
Let me see if we have an ownership update on him. So this is going to be more driven by ownership. If we're just talking about which guy I think warrants the most exposure with less than 20% ownership, it is Vooch for me. If we're talking about the guy who I just think is the most under-owned right now, Bogdanovich projected for 6% ownership now that he's been rolled in.
Okay. I think that'll go up too.
Yeah, I do too.
Honestly, you can make a really good case that it's Drummond at 5% owned.
Is LaMarcus Aldridge just dead?
I don't know.
He screwed me so much the last couple of days because number one, I've placed bets against Andre Drummond, assuming that LaMarcus Aldridge is going to play. Then number two, I haven't played as much Drummond in DFS because I assume LaMarcus Aldridge is going to be in the rotation. And obviously, if I'm giving LaMarcus Aldridge 0 minutes or if I'm giving him 16 minutes or anything in between, those minutes are directly coming from Andre Drummond. When the Nets first rolled in LaMarcus Aldridge, I was like, oh, I have to go bet unders on Andre Drummond immediately because this is where the minutes are coming from. And then Aldridge is a DNP coach's decision. I go, all right, first game back, it's whatever. He just wasn't quite ready to play yet. But then I do the same thing the next game where I'm like, look how inflated all these lines are on Drummond. And we've got LaMarcus Aldridge back going to the minutes too. And then LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't play again. Now I just have Aldridge out of the rotation. So watch him end up playing.
If you believe that Andre Drummond is playing 27 minutes or more, which he did in the past 2 games, if you believe that that is going to continue to happen, he's the most under-owned guy on FanDuel.
Yeah, and by the way, because people are asking about it in the chat, LaMarcus Aldridge has been with the team. He is active. He's on the active roster. He is no longer injured. He's just not in the rotation.
Yeah. I think he's the best play if you trust it. But there's obviously a lot of lack of trust in that one.
Yeah.
Julio G, what is the best metric to look at when seeing how good a defensive player is, and what website do you use? So I don't know if you're asking that question from a fantasy standpoint or from a real life standpoint. If it's a fantasy standpoint, I wouldn't care. It wouldn't matter to me at all. If it's just a real life standpoint, you kind of got to piece that stuff together with plus minus metrics from some of the main sites, whether that's B-Ball Index, Raptor, EPM at Dunks and Threes.
EPM at Dunks and Threes is my favorite. But all
I'm a big fan of LeBron at B-Ball Index too, but we're splitting hairs here.
If you look at a bunch of different ones, though, especially with defensive numbers, there's just going to be stuff where be like, this does not match what I think it should be. There's so much weird defensive numbers. Like even EPM, I'd have to look at all of them, but they have like Mike Muscala is like a top 15 defender in the league or something. Like there's all kinds of weird numbers. Something like with Muscala is a factor of sample size. But there's really not a great place to look at defensive metrics.
Now, if you're looking for a big man, like a center, you want to look at like how many shots are people taking around the rim? What is the field goal percentage of the people taking those shots? Those two things usually run hand in hand. People are just going to shoot less at the rim against someone like Rudy Gobert, and they're going to shoot about as poorly as anybody can at the rim against Rudy Gobert. So that starts to pass the eye test for stuff like that. On the perimeter, it becomes really difficult.
The other thing too, I'll add to this, if this is a fantasy question, team defense is way, way more important than individual defense, especially because we don't know who's going to be covering players on any individual play. We don't know when players are going to be subbed and whatnot. But for team defense, and by the way, this isn't DVP, because DVP I don't think is a good measure either. But looking at individually, like, oh, okay, this team against centers, they allow centers to have, like a 4% increase in the rebound rate. Like stuff like that is going to factor into actual projections. But also keep in mind that you might be double counting stuff. If you're looking at projections and you're looking really deep into team defense or individual matchups, it's probably accounted for already.
Randall Robinson with the super chat. Last one in DKGPP. Olynyk, Stevens, Okongwu, or go down to Moses Brown and leave a little bit on the table. Already playing Love.
If you're already playing Love, then Kelly Olynyk of those guys. Although with that said, I'm gonna have some lineups.
Okongwu for me.
I'm gonna have some lineups with Brown and Love together because Moses Brown is so cheap, especially on DraftKings. It's not crazy to think he goes and plays 20 minutes, scores 24 fantasy points, and lands in an optimal lineup. So while there's negative correlation between Brown and Love, Brown is cheap enough where it's not a game breaker.
I completely agree there. I would say Brown is probably my answer. I would see if I could do anything just to slightly upgrade. I have Brown a fantasy point ahead of Okongwu, but obviously at twice the amount of ownership. If we're talking about like a larger field GPP, then I think the extra answer actually is Okongwu, because I don't think that Adam said it on the deeper dive. I don't think the difference between Okongwu and Moses Brown is all that huge.
How many minutes did you give Okongwu?
19 probably, if I had to guess. Okay. 20 maybe. Whatever Capella has been playing. 20.
All right. I'm a little lighter on Okongwu than you. Okay. Just in terms of playing time. So last game, Capella played less minutes, but it was because of a blowout. Before then, I think the Hawks were actively trying to get Capella more playing time.
Yeah, I mean, look, this one's going to break down pretty easily. Okongwu's going to be out there for whatever Capella doesn't do. If there's foul trouble, Okongwu's getting those minutes. If it's a blowout, Okongwu's getting those minutes. I feel pretty comfortable with 20. I mean, the most likely scenario, if this game is competitive, then Okongwu's probably playing like 17.
Yeah. I have him at 18 minutes. With that said, I'm overweight to Moses Brown and Okongwu today.
Okay. My boy 08 with the super chat. Thoughts on playing Daniel House for minimum DK price? Do we know that he's in yet?
So that I'm almost positive he's officially listed as questionable. No,
Clippers starting
he is in.
lineup, by
My
the way.
bad.
Jackson, George, Morris, Batum, Zubats. So everybody's in for the Clips.
I didn't think Morris or Batum were going to play.
Neither did I, but they are all in, and both of them are starting. So just let's get that out there right now. And Corey Joseph is available to play.
I do not like Daniel House today.
No, I do not like Daniel House either. He's probably going to play like 14 minutes, 16 minutes. I'm just like going off the top of my head here.
I give him 12.
Yeah, I mean, he has not played for 8 games. And when he did play, 10 games? 10 games. When he did play the previous 6 games, he averaged 15 and a half. Some of those were 8 and 13 and 10, one game of 28. So,
in the last game he was active for while he started, there was no Bogdanovich, there was no Hernan Gomez, and there was no Trent Forrest.
Yeah, that's not your guy today. Let's see. We've got Oliver Klosov. Oh, I get it. I bid on that one. Good work. I read it like it was Russian.
Yeah, that was that was a good one. It wasn't. They've been getting Eric really good lately, really good because they just give absurd ones, and he's an idiot like Ron Burgundy. Well, he'll just read whatever's in front of him. But yeah, that was a good one.
Got me. Royce O'Neal was mentioned earlier. What's the ceiling for him? I don't know, 35 fantasy points.
Realistically, his ceiling is pretty low.
Yeah, like his ceiling is basically like a fantasy point per minute.
Yeah, so we just got back-to-back questions about the Utah Jazz, and the Jazz are the opposite of what we're usually looking for in value. We've seen Rudy Gobert out recently. We see games where Mike Conley rests. Bogdanovich has been out for a while. They have a healthy team now. I know Trent Forrest and Hassan Whiteside are out, but they don't have that much impact. But we are getting players that are important, Bogdanovich, back into the mix for the Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert being another one who was out recently. That makes all of these other guys look weaker who are just role players for the Jazz.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, like you basically need Royce O'Neal's ceiling game for him to be anything of value on any real given day. Yeah. Cowboy Smith X gave us the Canadian funny money. That's great. Who's your favorite mid-range contrarian play on DraftKings?
All right. So what salary range are we talking about? Mid-range. Let me refresh ownership, see if we have an ownership update.
Let me know if we do.
Yeah, we won from 8 minutes ago, which I had not looked at yet.
Neither do I. I mean, I don't imagine anything changed. We didn't really get any like shape-shifting news here. I mean, I think the answer is going to be Drummond here, but
so Bogdanovich has come up a little bit in ownership, still sub 10%. That is appealing to me. Mid-range, contrarian mid-range. Yeah,
if we're considering 6K mid-range, then it's Andre Drummond to me.
It's Bogdanovich for me.
He grades like I have him twice as likely to be in the optimal as our ownership, so I don't disagree with you there. I just think Drummond's a much better play overall, like on top of it too. But I think both answers work.
Yeah, both of them work. I'd probably if Drummond wasn't just center eligible, that would sway my opinion.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I think Sadiq Bey at 7K is like wildly underowned at 4%, but I don't think that's mid-range any longer.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I have any others. All right, what else we got here? There are so many super chats. By the way, I know we're getting a lot of super chats. 2,800 people in here, 760 likes. And I think it's pretty reasonable that we get all the way up to 1,000. So go ahead and hit that like button if you can. The Claw. Patrick Williams or Moses Brown on DraftKings? I don't think this one's close at all.
Moses Brown.
Yep, agreed. Michael Perlman, does Levert score over 32 fantasy points? Yes.
I haven't projected over it, so yeah. I have him. I don't know whether it's a FanDuel or DraftKings question, but
it's basically the same for me.
Yeah, I think like 35 is a reasonable projection for Levert.
I got him at 34. So
yeah.
Do I think he scores over 32? Yeah, probably like 57% of the time or something. Right. Michael McKinney, Bagley or Love, and Markkanen or Stewart. Cash game. Don't know which site, which is the most important piece of this information. But...
Michael McKinney plays on FanDuel.
Okay. Good work. Okay, so Bagley or Love. That's Love right now. That's probably Love for me.
It's so hard for me to know what to make of Love's minutes.
Markkanen way ahead of Stewart for me. That one's not close.
I would say Bagley and Markkanen just because I don't know what to make of Kevin Love's minutes today.
Yeah, I think Bagley. So I think Bagley and Love are basically right next to each other. I have them separated by like a fantasy point and a half. They're both really similar in boom and sim odds. So I think Markkanen is very clearly the answer over Stewart. So I would just be more likely to go to Bagley instead of Love.
Yeah, I have a pro Stewart bias right now because I've been betting the over on his 3 points prop a lot lately, and it's just been absolutely. So I had a couple days ago 40-1 for him to make multiple threes in a game. He was also 7-1 to make 1 3. Then the game after that, plus 330 to make a 3 and plus 1650 to make 2 threes. For whatever reason, or not for whatever reason, Dwayne Casey came out to the media and said, hey, now that we're starting Bagley and Stewart in the front court together, Stewart has to shoot more threes to make floor spacing work. And I was like, all right, this is worth a shot on. And then he took 3 threes the first game, made 2 of them. I was like, all right, that was a lot of money. And then he did it again the next game. And so now I'm like, all right, I'm pot committed to betting the over on Isaiah Stewart's threes right now because he's going to shoot them.
Good eye on those bets, honestly. Smart.
The odds have evened out a bit now, but I think it's reasonable to expect him to shoot about 3 threes per game as a 30% 3-point shooter, which still means over a half a 3 at plus money. Just doing like quick math, it wins like 70% of the time.
Shane Daly, super chat. I got a Johnson, Harden, and Herter. Best play ever. I don't understand.
All right. So he has a Johnson. So this is a very poor attempt at a play on words, if I'm not mistaken.
Like, is Johnson's hard and it hurt her?
Yes.
Ugh, woof, Shane. Woof. Ugh, he should have to give more money just for how bad that was. Whew. I'm glad you're not Chris Rock's writers. Is Kevin Love viable for FanDuel single entry?
Yes.
Yes. That's from Boney SP. Oh my God, there's so many super chats. Eddie with the super chat. Best 2 guards in a DraftKings GPP.
Let's see. So I'm just going to base this on whoever I have the most exposure to. Karis Levert. Karis Levert is a clear number 1. I mean, Malik Monk is 2 for me, but he's also really popular. So if we're going to go with a lower owned option, then I'm going right back to Bogdanovich.
Me, Zach LaVine. Happy to take Donovan Mitchell there as well. John Celzo, Ariza on FanDuel. Absolutely not.
Nope.
Also, top power forward on FanDuel under 5K. I assume you're with me on absolutely no Trevor Ariza.
Oh, yeah, no Trevor Ariza. That is a no-go. All right, so power forward under 5K. Let me see, because off the top of my head, I don't know.
It's either, I got 3 options.
Under 5K.
Marcus Morris, Royce O'Neal, Wenyen Gabriel.
Yeah, so by the way, when people are asking about what is the upside of Royce O'Neal, while it's not significant, he's also 3,900 on FanDuel. So it's not like he needs to have some kind of crazy ceiling for his FanDuel price. DraftKings is a little bit different.
Right.
Under 5K. I do kind of like Kelly Olynyk on this slate, just as a cheap guy who I think could play extended minutes and is a really good points per minute fantasy producer.
He's 4th for he would be 4th for me.
I'm going to answer Marcus Morris, though, just because the minutes restriction for the Clippers seems very lax right now. Very lax. Reggie Jackson played 37 minutes last game. Paul George came back, played 32 minutes, his first game back in months. So I assume we're getting a pretty healthy amount of minutes here for Marcus Morris. So I'll go with him.
All right. Cheyenne with the super chat. Embiid, Young, and Portis, or Durant, Mitchell, and Vooch. Could not be easier.
Durant, Mitchell, and Vooch.
Yes, not close. Portis should not be owned.
Yeah,
Portis should only be owned in like 150 max situations. That's not a single lineup type play.
His price has never really come down that much since his role change. By the way, the Suns, from the time we started the show, they were 3.5-point favorites, 7-point favorites now for tomorrow.
Oof. Hope everybody got it. Gallo available. All right, next up, Shane Daly. I blame myself for the super chat from before, which for the joke. So you should.
It's not.
That's for sure.
You know it's suboptimal when you're telling a joke, Josh. When it takes a couple minutes for anybody to realize it's a joke.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
All right, Alex Kaiser, DK single entry GPP, Alex Caruso or Seth Curry, last piece in.
I feel like I don't like either of them.
I'm going to try to find these guys so I can actually give an answer. Caruso. Okay, they're right next to each other. I've got Caruso by like a point. So Caruso, but might as well be a coin flip as far as I'm concerned.
So Caruso, let's see. Who do I have more exposure to of those? I have one more lineup with Seth Curry than I do Caruso. I really don't like either of them much, though. Curry, if I absolutely have to choose.
Okay. Andrew Kang with the pretty big super chat. He said, "What's up? Used the tools on Awesemo Plus last night. Cashed both of my entries in the $777 contest. 100% owe it to the tools. For those of you wondering if they are worth it, 100%. No matter how good we think we are, we can all use help." Ringing endorsement. Friend of the program, Andrew Kang. So thank you very much.
Put that on the front page of the site.
I know, honestly. We got a lot more to go here. Tyler Edwards. Super chat. FanDuel, need a point guard with 4,600 left. Seth Curry or Caruso? Way different for me on FanDuel. It's very clearly Caruso this time.
Let's see. Seth Curry or Caruso on...
Seth Curry losing out on the 3-point
country mile. So yeah. Caruso, who I'm not getting to Caruso or Curry on DraftKings. Caruso is a guy for me on FanDuel, though. 4,600 point guard and shooting guard eligibility. That's like a legitimately good play.
Yeah, he gets the benefit of the extra half point for defensive stats, and Seth Curry gets the non-benefit of the extra half point for threes made on DraftKings. Yeah. So that's they separate pretty dramatically at that point. Justo, Brown or Okongwu on FanDuel? Brown 4,300, Okongwu 4,200. It's Brown for me, but I don't love either of them all that much.
Brown is an infinitely better play on DraftKings than FanDuel. He is $1,100 more expensive on FanDuel, and we could play him in multiple spots on DraftKings. So FanDuel, very, very low priority option, Moses Brown. DraftKings, different situation just because he's cheap and he's a decent enough fantasy producer.
They are both only center on FanDuel, so it's still Brown for me, but I don't think that either one of them are a priority. The Claw with the super chat. Is Covington a bad idea? Probably.
I don't know which site, but it's a bad idea on both sites for me.
Yeah, I assume he's like the 50th best guy today at best. I mean, it's a definite no on FanDuel. He's 5,300. It's way more playable on DraftKings at 4,200.
Still not ideal for me. It would have been different had Batum and Morris gotten ruled out. I think I could have talked myself into, maybe I get a few lineups here with Robert Covington. But with all of them in, and also now the information that we're starting to see, like Reggie Jackson played a bunch of minutes last game. Paul George is probably just going to play a full allotment of minutes today after he played so many minutes in his first game back. There's not that much playing time available to Covington.
I have him ranked 61st on DraftKings today at 4,200. So there's your context. I think we're caught up on, holy sugar, we're caught up on super chats. I didn't think we were going to get there. And we're up to 826 likes. So hit that like button one last time. I'm going to try to figure out who I want to play in my own single lineup. And honestly, I don't hate the first one that I see.
Go for it then.
I mean, I should play my highest ranked lineup in this spot. I don't. Yeah, screw it. We're going for it. Feeling good. I will read that off the moment we lock, although it's not going to make much of a difference if I do it now or do it in the near future. Who are some of your most exposed guys? We have 6 minutes to go before lock.
Sure. How about want to go back and forth a little bit? I'll go over the best plays on DK. You could go top plays on FanDuel.
Absolutely.
All right. So what I landed on, at least at point guard, the players I have the most exposure to are Levert, Conley, and Monk, with Levert being number one by a long shot.
That was point guard?
Yeah.
For me, at point guard, Mitchell would be my number one. Russell Westbrook would be my number two. Maxey would be my number three. I would be light on Mike Conley's ownership, but I still like him. He would be my number four.
And then over at the shooting guard position, we were talking about Levert and Monk. They both have shooting guard eligibility. Bogdanovich is somebody who I like as a contrarian option today. And then I have a lot of guys that are really close to each other that I get like 10 to 20% of, but I guess James Harden would be the next one that I'm overweight to.
Shooting guard, Levert by a mile. It's not even close. I mentioned Mitchell before. He's there again. Zach LaVine, Maxey once again. And then the only other guy that I have a lot of would be Dosunmu. And that's basically neutral to the field. It's shooting guard on FanDuel is really flat. A lot of dudes around 20% ownership. And that's exactly where I have them too.
Yeah, that's same for me. Also, we've got, like I said, Monk and Levert have shooting guard eligibility. I like Bogdanovich as a contrarian play. There's a bunch of guys that are grouped tight together. Small forward's kind of the same for me as well, because I like Giannis a lot as a pay-up option. I think he's the best pay-up option on the slate. Then I've also got Bogdanovich, also small forward eligible on DK. And then there's just a lot of guys. Like I think Luke Kennard is worth some shares of, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Bojan Bogdanovich, Zach LaVine. But none of these are guys that I even have like 20% of.
On to mine. Karis Levert, obviously still at small forward. Sadiq Bey, probably my favorite play in relationship to ownership. He's like 20% owned on FanDuel. He's 5,700. I just don't get it. I love Bey. Markkanen, basically feel the same way as Markkanen as Bey. They're both 5,700. I think they're just a bit under owned. And then it doesn't make me feel good to say it, but $3,900 Royce O'Neal.
It's a really cheap price tag for him on a slate without a lot of options. Is there a lot of upside there? No, absolutely not. But it's not unreasonable to think most of the value plays suck today, and the floor of Royce O'Neal at like 18 fantasy points is maybe enough.
Absolutely. Power forwards.
Yeah, still a lot of Giannis, regrettably getting to a lot of Kevin Love because I believe in the upside there. Is he going to get there? What are the minutes going to look like? No clue. I think one thing that should be accounted for when we look at his minutes from yesterday, he could not make a shot. He came in and just started chucking threes, and none of them were going in. No, I think had a couple more of those fall, and he probably would have gotten more minutes. Or maybe I'm just trying to be optimistic and talking myself into saying that getting Kevin Love in a lot of my lineups is reasonable, but I do still see the upside in Kevin Love. And then once again, Kelly Olynyk, I've talked about a couple times over the course of the show. Of the cheap guys that I don't feel great about, Kelly Olynyk is one of them, but at least I think he's more upside than a lot of the cheap guys that are picking up ownership today.
I already mentioned Markkanen, but he's there at power forward. I already mentioned Royce O'Neal. He's there at power forward. Wenyen Gabriel is my third most exposed. And then it's Giannis and Kevin Love tied at fourth and fifth. Giannis being the guy that I have the most from a true pay-up standpoint.
Then centers, talked about Love already. Moses Brown, Rudy Gobert, Kelly Olynyk also center eligibility, Vooch, and Okongwu.
I got five guys that matter to me. They make up 120% of my center ownership. Rudy Gobert, Kevin Love, who gets the power forward eligibility, Clint Capella, Andre Drummond, and Marvin Bagley, who obviously is making that up at power forward as well. So Law 21 with the final super chat before we hit 7 o'clock, but we're going to be sticking around till 7:30 talking some odd shopper stuff. Does Kyrie and DeRozan get over their points and Trey get his assist? I don't know what that means.
He's talking about player props, but I have to go to odd shopper because off the top of my head, I just don't know what those props are for those players. So let me hit up Odd Shopper and see where we currently have, let's see, Trae Young's assists.
Odd Shopper, by the way, the presenting sponsor of this show. Make sure you're going to oddshopper.com. You can make your best bets in 30 seconds or less.
All right. Trae Young's assists, which we're about to attempt to do here. Trae Young's assists. That's a really fair number. His assists is 10.5. That's right around where I have him. It's also juiced towards the under. So even if I'm slightly under, if you look at our projection, it's 10.5. We haven't projected for 10.1, right in the neighborhood. That would just be a stay away for me. The other two players,
I have it at 10, so I'm in the exact same boat.
And it's juiced towards the under, so that seems all fair to me. The other player, DeRozan points, and who is the other player?
Kyrie.
All right, so DeRozan's points. You can bet unders too, by the way. DeRozan's points.
I have him at 26.4.
26.5 is the over under there. We project for 26.3 for us. That's a stay away.
Yep. And then Kyrie was the final one. I have Kyrie at 28.9.
And Kyrie is, see, so Kyrie's points prop is 27.5.
Okay, I would take the over there, actually.
That's still really close. Like, if I had to take a side, it would be the over.
Yeah.
But you don't have to take a side. It would be a stay away for me.
I'm sorry. I would find more.
Sometimes the best advice is to tell people, like, hey, you don't have to bet all of those numbers. That's what I would make of those.
Look, if we're being perfectly honest, the best bet for most people is to not make one at all. Shane Daly, I'm not going to read your chats anymore, man. I'm tired of your jokes that aren't very good. You want me to say Love Brown Johnson? There you go. Levert Maxi Odorous. I don't even know what that one means. Oh, you're correcting it to say Okoro as if that's a real question.
What's the... I'm lost in the sauce here.
Read his next super chat. I'm not reading that one out. The first one's a gimmick.
All right. Well, I didn't know what it was,
but like, it's a gimmick.
I was trying to make you. All right. I don't even see it. Why do I not see it?
Because it's not good. Charles Oliver with the super chat. I think you're trying to ask that question afterwards too. So we'll hit on that. Yeah. This question's fake again. Jordan, no.
No, that's that.
No.
I think we should entertain. This could be serious. He might need help building his lineup.
Go ahead.
Players from games.
Read it off. Read it off.
Love Brown Johnson or Levert Maxi Okoro. This could be a legitimate question. I think this is a real question.
No, it's not. If he says no, if he says it, then we could look at it. Charles Oliver's super chat is real. Must have player at each position on FanDuel 2-game slate. Hawks, Cleveland, Bucks, and Nets. Okay. I'll bite. Hawks, Cavs, Nets, Bucks. Must have player at each position. Charles, you're really begging for it today, man. Good God. All right, point guard. Be Kyrie Irving for me. Do you want me to give you the choices?
One sec. No, because here's what I'm doing just now. I just pulled up the 2-game slate on Fantasy Cruncher and ran a crunch for it. This is for the 7 for the...
I don't know what time these games are. I can give you the
teams again. It's the 7:30 slate.
Okay.
All right. So he wants one player at each position?
Yes.
All right.
Point guard for me is Kyrie.
Garland for me.
Okay. Just as easily could be Garland or Trae Young. I don't really have much of a preference. All three of those guys look the same. Shooting guard.
Levert.
Yes, very clearly Levert. It's going to be Levert at small forward too. So also Kyrie and Garland.
Yeah, so Markkanen or Bogdanovich at small forward then. I'll say Bogdanovich at small forward because Markkanen at power forward.
I mean, if you want it to be Giannis at small forward, I think that also works pretty well.
So
Markkanen makes sense from a financial standpoint.
The only issue is because I only ran 20 lineups, but it is a little difficult to find the value to comfortably get up to Giannis on this 2-game slate.
That's not surprising to me. Power forward would be Giannis for me. Markkanen would be to Durant if you can't get to Giannis.
Capella at center for me.
Drummond at center for me. Capella is a firm second though. So boom. We got a new account for people to follow. You know that, right?
The betting account.
We do. We have a free bet of the day at Awesemo Bets. I want to get your thoughts on it. You ready?
Yes, sir.
So we got a bet. Is that out yet? I assume it's out already, right?
Let me check. Let me check Twitter. Hopefully it is, and hopefully it's from a game that
I mean, I know what the bet is. I just don't know if we posted it yet.
Yeah,
we have not posted it yet.
Not posted yet.
No, but I do know what it's going to be. So make sure you're following at Awesemo Bets. One free bet every single day. Cannot beat it. Get a little glimpse at what we've got going on behind the curtain for our premium betting picks. So make sure you're checking it out. When it gets posted, we'll talk about it and we'll review. Jordan Klein with the super chat. For Greg, did you know if you act like you're shaking salt on your tongue, you can actually taste the salt?
Jordan, you're first of all, I'm not Eric Lindquist. I'm not going to sit here and humiliate myself by doing something that Eric Lindquist dreams of. So no, sir, no.
He wishes it was pepper. And on that note, Jake Linland with the super chat. Dwight Howard or Moses Brown in a Yahoo GPP? Yikes. I didn't even download the Yahoo file today.
Yeah, let me pull up the Yahoo pricing really quick. All right, so
it's pull up Awesemo.
Yeah, so Brown and Howard, they're same price. It's Moses Brown.
Yep, I agree. All right, everything looks normal in all of those lineups. No weird changes or anything. TLC starting, just in case that matters.
No.
It doesn't for TLC. Probably does for Gallo. My filler arc. Only 3,400 left on small forward on DK. Patrick Williams or TLC?
Yes, TLC because he's starting. I don't like either of them though.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Williams to me is one of the worst plays you can get to. So I'll take my shot on TLC, but it's probably neither. Andrew Kang said, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, so, TLC started last game. He played 24 minutes. He scored 21 fantasy points. The game was a blowout. Maybe he could have gotten a few more minutes. He played 30 the game before, scored 24 fantasy points. He's a better option than Patrick Williams.
Andrew Kang said, let's go. Harden less than 3% owned in his FanDuel contest, and he's overweight on him. Let's hope for a big game. Good luck, man. I mean, I would like to have a lot of 3% owned James Harden.
Let me see what he is on. I have him 15% on DK. Let's see.
We just got 5 super chats in a minute.
Let's hit on those. I'm trying to find the ownership for Harden on DK right now.
All right. Gray asked, would you hedge Bam plus 1,200 defensive player of the year with a smart ticket?
Defensive player of the year is so difficult for me as a market because even to hedge, because number one, the odds have moved dramatically on like every 3 or 4 days. There's a new favorite to win defensive player of the year. Mikal Bridges was the favorite less than a week ago to win the award on FanDuel. And while he was the betting favorite on FanDuel, he was 9-1 on DK. And then the odds have just been moving around so much. I've never had less of a feel for who's going to win an individual award. There are so many good candidates. And I mean, earlier in the year, I thought Draymond Green was close to a lock to win based on how the Warriors were playing and how good their defense was. But then he got hurt and missed a bunch of the season. And the other thing that's crazy to me is then all of a sudden, Bam got steamed a whole bunch. A lot of people are backing Bam. But if you're going to back Bam for Defensive Player of the Year, why could you not back Draymond Green? Because they've missed kind of a comparable amount of games. So I really don't know. I don't know.
I mean, Bam has played 500 more minutes than Draymond.
Yeah, he has played more minutes.
I think it is absolutely ridiculous if Marcus Smart or Mikal Bridges win this award.
It's hard because on the surface, I agree with you, but at the same time too, the award is very much viewed as a team award. And the thing that makes it tough also is Rudy Gobert could realistically win this award every year. Yep. But the Jazz don't have a good team defense this year. And there's so much voter fatigue on Rudy Gobert that I just can't imagine people want to vote for him again. So that's something else that adds kind of a tough dynamic. Same with somebody like Giannis. Giannis is a very good individual defender. The Bucks do not have a very good team defense this year. And if you look at least traditionally who wins Defensive Player of the Year, we're looking at one of the best defense in the NBA. And that's when you start to look at the Celtics and it's like, okay, well, I guess it would be Robert Williams, but then Robert Williams gets hurt. So then it's like, okay, it can't be Robert Williams. And then there's also recency bias involved where the Celtics have been so ridiculously good over the last month that probably makes people more apt to vote for Celtics guys. And then people just kind of fall on Marcus Smart for that reason. I don't know who's going to win. I really don't know. I have bets on Draymond Green. I bets on Bam Adebayo from earlier in the year. I have a bet on Robert Williams, and I don't know.
If Draymond played more, to me, it's pretty easily Draymond. I think it's pretty easily Bam.
I would love that. That would be good for me. I don't feel confident though.
Last guard in for JR. This is FanDuel Cash. Clarkson, Caruso, Herter, or Curry. I mean, Herter's already playing, isn't he? Or did that game not start?
No, it's 7:30 start time.
I could have swore it was a 7 o'clock. Oh, it's just Philly, Detroit. Clarkson, Caruso, Herter, or Curry.
And last guard in for FanDuel. So these guys are also in way different price ranges.
Yeah, I don't really know what to do here.
Let me just sort by projected fantasy points here. Clarkson.
I think it's Caruso.
It's still Caruso for me. So I get that Caruso is $900 cheaper than both Clarkson and Herter, but I haven't projected for more fantasy points than both of them.
Choke Hold'em. Hi, guys. Does Bogdanovich usually start, says TLC? No, he doesn't.
No. It's actually one of the things that helps Bogdanovich is he just gets all of the usage on the second unit.
Yeah.
There's going to be games where he doesn't play very well and then his minutes get limited, so he just busts. But at the same time, too, there's so much opportunity for him. And the reason I like him today is he's in a mid-range on a slate where it's hard to find a lot of cheap value to love. And there's clear upside there. A lot of volatility, though.
Call Me Touch CMT said, I knew the joke, but I still tried it. I don't know. I don't know what he means.
Is he talking? Oh, he's talking about the salt thing. Did you get? I hope he got it all out. I hope he emptied.
Probably tasted like mayonnaise or sour cream.
Yeah, I hope he emptied that salt shaker good.
Yeah, clogged up with rice.
Yeah, clogged up his arteries probably.
Bang the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of salt.
Jake Linland, Yahoo GPP, Paul George or Donovan Mitchell. I'm gonna need you to.
Paul George or for which site?
Yahoo.
All right. So the salaries for these guys over on Yahoo. Paul George is $42. Donovan Mitchell, $37. Here's where I'm going to go with Paul George here. Paul George is projected for 1% ownership and Mitchell's projected for 22. Mitchell's cheaper. But he's not going to outscore Paul George, 22-1.
Is Paul George questionable?
No, he's not on the injury report.
Okay. That was my only thought of why he was 1% owned. Yeah, I mean, it's Paul George to me if that's the ownership.
Yeah.
He might play 36 minutes today. Who the hell knows?
I gave him 34.
I think I gave him 32. I don't remember now, though. Yeah, I gave him 32. 714. You know what you guys should probably do right about now? You guys should sign up for the Awesemo MVP text program. You can get exclusive Awesemo discounts and the first crack at beta testing new tools and features. All you have to do is text MVP to 1-660-656-4417, and you could be a beta like Laffy. You'll also automatically be entered to win a year of Awesemo Plus Platinum, which may be more interesting to you than being a beta with Laffy. Jordan, did you press a button on your stream deck to pop that bad boy in there? That's the good stuff, man. That's the good stuff. All right, so what do we got going on in game numero uno?
So far, we're about 15 minutes into the game. By the way, you guys should be following at Awesemo Bets on Twitter. The free bet has not yet been posted today. But in terms of the game going on right now, Pistons and 76ers. We have very, very limited amount of points scored so far.
Yes, we do.
We are 3 minutes into the game. Cade Cunningham has
5
scored
of 15. Ooh.
Cade has scored all 4 of the Pistons' points. And we've got no fantasy points for Harden, 2 1-1 for Embiid. Ugly, ugly game so far.
Very. Tobias Harris has a block. So that's something. Oh, yeah. Somebody just asked what my lineup was.
Oh, good point.
I went with Garland, Westbrook, Cade, Donovan Mitchell, Sadiq Bey, Levert, Royce O'Neal, Wenyen Gabriel, Rudy Gobert. So it's a bit of a Utah heavy lineup, but I do have Russ on the way back and Wenyen Gabriel. So it's sort of a Jazz Lakers stack.
And a little bit of a pivot off of Malik Monk.
Yes.
Because Monk isn't projected on DK. He's super popular. FanDuel only moderately. On DK, though, Monk is projected for nearly 30% ownership.
I do sort of wish that I would have got to a 76er because I have 2 Pistons, but it's whatever. I don't care. It's Cade and Sadiq Bey. It's not like I got.
Well, now that there's 7 minutes left in the first quarter and the score is 7-4, do you still wish you got some more 76ers?
No. Luckily for me, Cade and Sadiq Bey are the only 2 people that have scored for the Pistons. But, Isaiah Stewart's got 3 boards and an assist. Bagley's got 4 boards.
He's also
it doesn't help that they're 6 of 19 combined in this game so far. So kudos.
Stewart's also attempted a 3. Did not go in, but he has attempted one. I just want him to keep shooting.
Absolutely. You just need one, right?
Yeah, just need one. And also, I mean, no matter what, I've already hit on, like I said, I've got a 40-1 Isaiah Stewart. I've hit 7-1. Dude can make no threes the rest of the season. I'll be cool with it.
Yeah, that's fair. We are about to see the free bet for today. If you guys haven't subscribed to Awesemo Bets, again, at Awesemo Bets on Twitter, that bet is out right now. Greg, what are your thoughts on DeMar DeRozan over 3.5 assists, -150 at Caesar Sports?
I like it. I have DeRozan projected for a little over 5 assists. So
I got him at 4.7.
Yep. I could get behind that number for sure. Matchup against the Clippers team should be competitive because the Bulls are not very good. And we've got a seemingly fairly healthy Clippers team right now that is attempting to win games and gear up for the postseason. I look at the last, basically all of the numbers for DeRozan over the course of the season. Averages 5 assists per game for the year over the last month, 4.8 last 2 months, 5 assists even. He's pretty consistently been above that number.
For some reason, History Buff said Olynyk 0 fantasy points halfway through the first. If you were expecting him to have anything other than that, you probably played this one incredibly incorrectly.
Yes. So the main reason that Kelly Olynyk has 0 fantasy points to this point is because he comes off the bench and doesn't start. And unless you're a god of fantasy producers, it's hard to score fantasy points from the bench.
Garrett K with the super chat. This is for the 777. Trey, DeMar DeRozan, Chris Middleton, or Giannis, Durant, Brook Lopez or Luke Kennard?
All right.
I hate 3v3s.
I'm looking at it right now. This feels like the salary doesn't work. I mean, I guess it does, but
okay.
Also, how is he?
I don't know.
Are we comparing Brook Lopez or Kennard? Or either way, for me, that's going to be Giannis, Durant, and Kennard.
I assume if it could be Lopez or Kennard, then it's DK, right? You wouldn't be comparing Lopez and Kennard in a FanDuel contest.
It has to be DK.
That wouldn't make any sense. All right, so Trey, DeMar DeRozan,
Middleton.
and Middleton. I have those guys projected for 135.5. Giannis, KD, and Brook Lopez I have at 135.9. So basically exactly the same. And if I turned Brook Lopez into Kennard, it would go down a bit. So the first one, but it's honestly the same.
Second one, and I prefer, well, let me see, actually. So I do actually have Brook Lopez projected for half a fantasy point more than Kennard, but just because of positionality, I have more exposure to Kennard than Brook Lopez today. Just based on fantasy points, it's the second one for me.
Okay. T. Kim said, Josh and Greg's chemistry is improving. Great podcast today. I don't feel like today was any different than any of the other 50 shows plus we've done this NBA season.
Yeah. And we also because the schedule has been switched up. So this year I do a lot of shows with Eric. Last year, the most common LBL pairing was probably you and I.
I would think so. Yeah.
We've done a few shows together.
Yeah. I mean, we've done a lot in the grand scheme of things over the, however long you've been here now, a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think today was any different than it normally is.
It's calmer when Eric isn't around. Eric does freak out at somebody in chat. So that Eric does tend to freak out a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. People thought I was like freaking out and couldn't handle the jokes. I couldn't care less. I'll happily.
We just don't understand some of the jokes sometimes.
Yeah. I just want them to be good. I'll happily play into a good one and read. I'll say whatever. I clearly don't care what comes out of my mouth on the show.
The best joke of the day was Tim Hardaway making the Hall of Fame.
It's a farce. It's a pure comedy. Like people probably think I'm doing a bit there. Like I really think it's nuts.
The Pistons have 6 points with 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Let's see. Is there? Okay, that list does exist. Does it go any further down? Okay. I'm going to name a couple guys that also have 5 all-NBA teams. There's a bunch of them. Now, some of these names aren't going to matter at all. Some of them will. Bob Davies doesn't matter to me. Neil Johnston doesn't matter to me. Giannis, 5 all-NBA teams. Probably doesn't matter right now. I think he's going to be safe.
Yes.
I mean, he's in already. Tiny Archibald, sure. Kawhi, okay.
He's gonna be in just because his peak is so high.
Oh yeah, I expect him to be in. Although we'll see how the rest of this plays out. Isaiah Thomas, the Piston, 5 all NBA teams. There's not a single person on this planet that thinks that Tim Hardaway had a better career than Isaiah Thomas. And Isaiah Thomas only made 5 all-NBA teams. Grant Hill. Is Grant Hill a Hall of Famer to you?
Would have been had he stayed healthy for sure. Yeah. I'd have to look how many, what was actually kind of underrated about Grant Hill is the resurgence he had later in his career with the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, he had like that. He had like the Vince Carter second life.
But better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Way better. I mean, he was shooting like 40% from 3 1 year, played 80. He played 82, 81, and 80 games at 36, 37, 38 years old.
And that
30 minutes a game.
And his body had broken down like 8 years prior to that.
In 2000, he played 4 games. In 01, he played 14. In 02, he played 29. In 03, he did not play at all. His career was over. And that dude came back like it was nothing. So I don't know what they got in the water in Phoenix.
one of the more underrated things that added value to a team in our lifetime was the Phoenix Suns training staff. They did it with Shaq also. Shaq was not able to stay on the court because of health reasons. He went to Phoenix and they're like, yeah, we got you. We're going to get you on the court. I don't know what kind of Mexican supplements they're giving the players or whatever it was, but they got guys to stay healthy.
Here's one for you. This is a very interesting one. 5 All-NBA teams for Amari Stoudemire. That feels like a really good comp, just like a different position.
I feel like Stoudemire had a higher ceiling than Hardaway, though.
They played like similar-ish minutes for the career. I mean, I don't think Amari Stoudemire should be in the Hall of Fame at all. To me, that's a really good one.
But also Amari Stoudemire didn't he finish like 3rd in the MVP voting or something like that one year? But also Amari, 1 All-NBA first team, 4 All-NBA second teams.
Yes.
Better career than Hardaway.
Yeah. Weber.
Hall of Famer.
Same exact breakdown. 1 first team, 3 second teams, 1 third team. Same as Hardaway. I think Michigan puts him in. Clyde Drexler, 1, 2, and 2. So 5 there. Blake Griffin has 5. Mitch Richmond has 5, who also shouldn't be in. Ben Wallace has 5. LaMarcus Aldridge has 5. I mean, I just don't think it's enough.
Weber also had injury issues, but I also think his peak and his ceiling probably higher than Hardaway's.
Sort of. It should have been, at least. It should have been. CJB with the super chat. Playing on Yahoo. Giannis and Love or DeRozan and Donovan Mitchell.
Giannis and Love that's Giannis and Love.
94-7. Mitchell and DeRozan. Yeah, that's Giannis and Love by a lot. A lot. I'm fascinated by the other guys that had 5. Who has 4 that would be interesting? Butler's got 4. Paul Pierce has 4.
And he shit his pants during a game.
I mean, he certainly did. Rudy Gobert has 4, but he'll probably end up with a couple more, or at least could.
And people will be really upset when he gets into the Hall of Fame.
And he's a lock already. An absolute stone cold lock.
He's so disliked, though.
I know, it's insane. He should be a stone cold lock by the time his career is over.
Because for the Jazz playoff struggles seem to just solely be put on the shoulders of Rudy Gobert. Not fair, but that's the reality of what it is. COVID partially gets blamed on Rudy Gobert. Also not fair.
True.
And people just the players don't like him. Like, for whatever reason, he appears to not be likable as a human being, because Draymond Green has constantly shits on Rudy Gobert in interviews.
Yeah, it's insane. 5 straight all defensive first teams, 3 defensive player of the years. That dude's going in as long as he just doesn't get hurt. One of the best conditioned athletes in the league, given his body. Huge Rudy Gobert fan. Pau Gasol's got 4.
Who's the most durable player in the NBA?
Used to be Cat.
Used to be LeBron. LeBron was indestructible.
Oh, I mean, yeah, like when he was just full cyborg LeBron, it was clearly LeBron. He's the most durable player ever, right?
Oh, do you remember? I mean, just look at based on his longevity, he's still in it. As much as the Lakers have struggled this year, and LeBron is totally mailing it in on defense right now, offense is still absolutely ridiculous. And what is he, 38 now?
Yeah. And he's averaging 30 a game.
It's ridiculous.
And it's not like he's averaging 30 a game inefficiently.
37. It's still ridiculous. Still
Wait,
totally
didn't he just
ridiculous.
turn 38? Oh, no, he's
no, he just turned 37.
Yeah. I was thinking that I was 38.
Yeah. Did you get yourself confused with LeBron James?
For real, like we're same age. Like he's class of 2003. Like I just know how old he is because it's me. I was thinking that I was 38.
Remember back in the day, he would have really bad ankle sprains sometimes. He'd go up, he'd land on somebody's ankle, he'd be down in pain, and he'd be 100% 3.5 minutes later. And he was not faking it either. He would be hurt, and then he would just heal like Wolverine.
He came into the league, played 79 games in his rookie season, 39.5 minutes, and then he bumped that to 80 games and 42 minutes a game. And he basically did that for 15 straight years. Oh, by the way, he was probably in the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals in all of those years. Oh, by the way, every 4 years, he was also playing Olympic basketball.
Yeah, it's the workload is ridiculous.
He didn't stop playing as aggressively as he could all year for like 14 straight years. Jordan had to retire twice.
While he's an outlier, I think he's also kind of a sign of things to come. Like we've seen that with Tom Brady in the NFL also. I just think if you have this much money and that much access to just the best of every supplement, the best of every single medical advancement, you could just extend your career and your ability for your body to stay young in a way that other players just aren't going to be able to.
I don't know how anybody is saying Jimmy Butler right now. I mean, that dude's out always.
Oh, that's because they're trolling me.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. Because I had to talk about Jimmy Butler on the injury report every single time I did that show with Adam this year.
Gotcha. I didn't know that it was a troll, because I was going to say, like, that is asinine.
No, with that said, though, people do think Jimmy Butler's some kind of Iron Man, and he's just the Anthony Davis of wings.
Yeah, he really is. Chris Middleton, better than Jimmy Butler.
All right, I forgot. We all have vendettas against Jimmy Butler.
If you so do you ever look at the Darko plus minus or the Darko like stats or anything like that?
I'm aware of it, but not regularly.
So he's got a chart. We're gonna get out of here at 7:30 now, where you could like basically plot hit like a rolling plus minus for like an entire career. And up until the moment that I was just like, I'd rather have Chris Middleton than Jimmy Butler, these dudes' lines are on top of each other for basically all of it, all the way up until like the moment that I made that statement. And then Chris Middleton falls off a cliff and then Jimmy Butler's just goes straight. It's like I spoke that into existence. Yeah.
And Middleton's regressed fairly significantly this year.
Yeah. It's so he's down so much from the moment I took the stand, I jinxed Chris Middleton.
And he's still fairly young too.
I think he's older
30.
than you think. Yeah.
For today's NBA, that's not super old or anything though.
It was great. When I finally looked at it, I was like, oh shit, that's probably like the exact moment that I talked about.
That was it. That was his reckoning.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather have Chris Middleton if I have to fit him into another team. I don't even think that's really up for debate, but individually probably gets a little bit different. Anyway, anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
Nah, Jordan will probably kill us. He's probably hungry or something.
Who cares what Jordan wants ever?
Point.
That is the main thing that we all need to know. Everybody knows it doesn't matter what Jordan wants. We run this ship. He's like the Uber driver of this show. We dictate how long he's going to be in the car. I'll get that music out of my ear. Thanks everybody for being here.
You
Good
also
luck tonight.
You still don't want to upset the Uber driver though. He's behind the wheel of the car. He could careen that thing into the ocean.
He wants to take himself out with me. It's worth it. Thanks for being here, everybody. Hit the like button if you haven't done it already. Subscribe to the channel, notification bell, all that good stuff. Win some money. Back again tomorrow, doing it all again. Peace.